How's it going, everyone? It is day 2 of the 2025 NBA draft. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I am so tired, but I'm very excited for the draft. As always, I'm just going to tweet out the links. And I will send them to all my group chats because I have no shame. And I'll send it to, and I'll blue sky it as well. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a nice Thursday morning. I did a long podcast with some friends of the channel, the State of the League guys, Jokic Joestar, and I took a long walk and I sat in the sun to, chill before this. But day 2, everyone, what do we think? Exciting. Got quite a few interesting players left on the board. Setting everything up right now. Setting up the board right now. Cool. Awesome. Let's start talking draft. So we have a bunch of maneuvering. The Suns have this first pick. Shams said they want Rasheer Fleming. So I assume Shams is just going to be like tipping picks again at this point. But I'd hope so. It seems like Fleming is the guy for them, right? Like that's what Shams reported, and I mean it makes a lot of sense. I think Rasheer is fourth best available player on my board, so that definitely makes sense from that perspective. Just like getting another good player on the board. Yeah, I'd like Rasheer. Why is this a little off center? It's pissing me off. Anyways. But yeah, we have the day two board right here. We have 70 names. Obviously, we have 70 names. If someone gets drafted that's not in these 70 names, I'm gonna be upset. But going to be upsetting. But yeah, seems like Fleming is going to be a good option right here. So I think the Suns will take Fleming, and then we have Boston 32, Charlotte, Philly, Minnesota. I definitely am we're gonna be doing a lot of shifting of the teams, trading around. But yeah, I guess quick day 1 recap. What do we think? Winners, losers. The draft is at 5 PST, 8 EST, so in half an hour. That is when the second round is going to start. But yeah, winners from day 1. Big winner. The Atlanta Hawks immediately come to mind, picking up a extremely valuable unprotected second to move back 10 spots and take Asa Newell. I don't even love Asa that much, as people might know, but like that's just such a phenomenal value for them. If Charlotte were to target a center, who would you like? Caulk, Brener, absolutely. Caulk, Brener is the only center in my like red tier, which are just like the remaining like first round grades that I have, and then the next best available centers to me are Golden, Zakarsky, and Reno are the other 3 draftable centers. There's some other like non-center bigs. Like you look over here, we have Janai Broom, Markovich. Even though Reno, I'm not. Hornets should be getting up 30s. Do I have a favorite reach of last night? That's a good question. Do I have a favorite reach of last night? I mean, like Carter Bryant was technically a reach by my board, but I really like that fit. Yo, wow, thank you so much, Bill. You're the best. I don't know how this works, but thank you so much. If I'm a Sixers fan, ideally with luck, who do you think they should look to draft? I think all of the Sixers people that I follow who are covering the Sixers want a wing, right? So I think Penda or Adu Thero, both of those guys would be awesome. My best available. Javon Small if they wanted their guard. I also really like Caulk, Brener, or Broom for them. Broom makes sense as just like a versatile big. She'll go to the Wolves. I like that a lot. I like Javon Small quite a bit to the Wolves. That's going to be a really, really nice. Javon Small to the Wolves would be great. Shout out my guy Joe Holbert. He wrote a great piece on Javon Small. That y'all should go read. But thank you, bro. I really appreciate it. I like your profile picture of just like a pot of grass. I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything, but K Cloven Bucks at 47. Good question. I'd love for them to get any point of attack defender. So in that range, like if Javon Small is there, all over that. I really like Seion James. I like John Tonji. I like Curtis Jones, Will Richard, Kobe Johnson. Like this is a good range of like perimeter defensive guards and wings who make sense to me for a team like Milwaukee that's just so kind of rough in terms of perimeter defense. I'm sure the Lakers are hoping like a Kalkbrenner or like a Reno or one of the centers falls, but I would love Vlad Golden. I've been pounding the table for Vlad Golden pretty much all cycle, and at least recently, but Golden would be awesome. Yeah, man. Huge shout out to Raptors fans. They always show out on the videos that I make of whatever prospects. Like, I made a Mobo video earlier, like before the draft, and Raptors fans just like juice the hell out of it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate the love that I always get from Raptors fans. They're a passionate bunch. I definitely can see that. Yeah, center or wing with size. I think genuinely the Bucks are like, I feel like this way with all teams, but I'm just like draft good players, right? But what prospects do I love their team fit the most? Carter, like I said, makes a ton of sense just as like a low usage wing. I don't think he's gonna have to do much. I really like Noah Senge. His fit in Chicago makes a ton of sense, just like as a high transition, fast-paced team that I don't think will ask him to do a ton in the half court. I think Khan in Charlotte is just like a high field connector early on is incredible. What other fits do I like? Good question. Asa, another fit that I like. I think he's a perfect kind of, or like I think the like a Trae Young team is perfect for him. Yeah. See, the Suns, it's kind of disappointing to me that the Suns aren't telegraphing another shooter. Not shooter, just like a shooting guard. I will. But the Suns are a funny team. Bucks, maybe the Bucks want to like go for a Kalkbrenner as your like Brooke Lopez replacement. Is that something? That they might do? That could definitely be a thing that they do. We could definitely see a Lakers trade up. That's something that I think could be possible. I mean, they already moved up to 45, and I feel like weren't there rumors earlier saying that they wanted to move up even more to try to get a guy like. As always, there's there's always going to be talent available. I think last year I looked. Actually, I have right here. Here we go. Beautiful. I'm trying to think how many first round grades like red tier guys did I have going in the second round? 1, 2, and then I think I had some other first round. It was just a weaker draft, some green tiers, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red tier guys left. Horst does have a problem with the draft good players thing. My thing with the whole AJ Johnson saga was baffling. Like they took AJ Johnson last. Thank you, Utah Jazz coach Will Hardy. I really appreciate it. I have high hopes for how you're going to use Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton on offense. I think they're going to fit really, really well within your system. It's going to be good. But Horst does have it's the thing is like they drafted AJ Johnson last year, who was a huge reach by consensus. And even as someone who liked AJ Johnson, I thought it was a big reach. They trade him before seeing what they have with him, and then he shows flashes with Washington. Like what on earth? I don't know. Yeah, Penda being on the board is crazy, Jay. I mean, like, I kind of get it, as I did get a little lower on him throughout this cycle as I worried more about his scoring, but that means like lower as in I don't have him as a lottery guy anymore. I have him as a 20-ish round range. I had him 20 on my, I think I had him like 20-ish on my board, but he is definitely my best player available. Clayton's taking 15 threes a game. Good luck. As he should, man. As he should. I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for, like, the Jazz are kind of a weird process. But yeah. Yeah, the AJ Johnson process was crazy. My optimistic comparison for Penda is like actually, you know what? I'll pull up my Penda card now, just because people are asking about him. I'll put it back when he gets drafted. Penda's a ridiculous defensive player. I imagine him like Herb Jones ceiling is kind of my vision for him. He has that kind of special off-ball defensive juice, and I really do think he's one of the best defensive players in the entire draft. And that's just undervalued. But this next year projects to be better or worse. Like you said, hard to know deeper, but the top is going to, like, the very top is going to be better. Because I mean, it's looking like it's going to be one of the most special top threes, at least in a long time, with Darren Peterson, AJ Debinsa. It's like throwing a banana. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, no, I like the Clayton pick because it just feels like getting an adult in the room. And I like that for them. They just badly need an adult in the room. Yeah, I don't think Penn is the best athlete in the world. But yeah, the top three. So next year's I think the top three next year is incredible, but then I don't love the depth as much after the top three. Like Nate Ament is really good. Most people, myself included, have him 4. There's some good returners. Like I'm a big Phylon guy. I like Bennett Sturts, but I'm not super outside of the incredible top 3. I'm not crazy high on the rest of that class. But like you said, always too hard to know. Nemhard a lock to Indy at 38. I mean, he could be. Like, look, would that be a giant reach by my board? Yeah, it kind of would, but it's the second round and it would be cool, so I don't really care. I really don't care at this point, honestly. But Penda has bad touch. I'd say it's average, fine. Pelicans doomer after seeing them give up that I like Quaintance. I just worry about the offense quite a bit, but I'm very curious. Pelicans doomer. I mean, the hope for the Pelicans is that both of the players they drafted are sick. Well, like I think my hope for the Pelicans is if you're gonna trade up for anyone and give up that kind of package, which they probably shouldn't have, I don't think it was responsible. It better be for like a S tier blue chip prospect who you think fell, and that's how I viewed Queen, and I'm gonna I would imagine it's how they viewed Queen as well. So that's my cope, but I can't lie, it was a really poor trade. Like it's just a shocking thing to give up that kind of future flexibility, especially with the value of the draft. Like, yeah, I mean, I think regardless, the Hawks kind of won the trade just like process wise. There's a chance it's like not a lottery pick for sure, but you know, there's also a chance it's 13 or better. The Joe Dumars bet on yourself, the bet on yourself gambit. Yeah, I mean, look, it's easy for me to sit in this chair and say that I'm okay with giving up a shit ton to go get a guy who I really like. But it's also like if I was in the front office and my job was on the line, that's just never a move I'd ever make. Like it's just I feel like we hit that hard and have them. Yeah, I mean it's that they've backed themselves into a corner, kind of, right? Because like the DeJounte trade, I I think the DeJounte trade was a disaster from the moment they did it. Poole, I think, is okay, but like whatever. It's I don't know. They're in such a weird position. Ryder said Jameer Watkins. Watkins, I absolutely love. He's just like your, you know, pick your favorite flavor, older 3-and-D wing who is a really great athlete. He does a ton of stuff that I'm high on, whether that's like some secondary pick and roll passing is pretty impressive. I like his shot as well. I think when in a scaled down role, his defense is going to be great. Like I can see Jameer Watkins being Aaron Wiggins-y. That's kind of a thing that I could see. I see someone asked Hanson Yang. I was low on Hanson Yang mostly because of his mobility and defense and how he kind of adds value without the ball on offense. But I'm fascinated to see what that deal looks like. What do you think of Memphis trading up for Coward? Not my favorite decision, but I understand it. Like I'm not a huge Coward guy. That was definitely a bit of a reach to me. But I think Coward, like if you're going to trade up, I like trading up for like an upside bet. And Coward certainly is an upside bet. I think it's really interesting to think about like what that trade means. Who are the Lakers taking at 45? I would guess the Lakers move up from 45 based on earlier reporting. But I would love for them to take a center, Zikarsky, Vlad Golden. I doubt Caulk Brener is there, but if he is, that would be super cool. But yeah, Coward, it's really interesting to me because to me, taking a player like that, yeah, I'm quite low on Proctor. He's one of the guys who I feel like I struggle to kind of understand the hype. I'd much prefer Kalkbrenner for the Celtics than Reyno. I think Kalkbrenner is a solid tier above as a player. So, you know, and I think he's probably a better. His defense is a lot better. But mid to late lottery, 2025 or 26, 25 at this point. Obviously, too early to really tell. But at this moment, I'd say the mid late lottery. Has Coward ever played against an NBA player? I mean, he played against like Peyton Sandfort this year at Iowa. Sandfort's going to get drafted. But yeah, I think that's like my main issue with one of my main issues with Coward is right. It's just that he has very little high level play against good teams. And I'm worried about that. Yeah, no, I agree with you, John. I understand the bet because his tools are crazy and his touch is awesome. Like he's such an incredible mid-range scorer. Like it really, I don't think it can be understated. That's just like how good of a mid-range creator and scorer that Cedric Coward has been over his career. Like his efficiency's just been off the charts. Like, by the way, huge shout out to Data Baller. This is like the best stat website of all time. Just look at those mid-range stats. Like, obviously the volume isn't crazy, but over three seasons of this and 3 seasons of incredible finishing at the basket, great free throw shooting. Like, I definitely trust the touch enough to figure that out. So Coward is one, like, as we said, I'm not crazy high on, but I totally understand the bet on him. It's like I totally get why they're excited about that. Better record year, Hawks or Spurs? I mean, I think it's easily the Spurs, assuming Wembanyama is healthy. If not, then who knows? But I think it's easily the Spurs. Would I agree that Brooklyn's haul is one of its? I think Brooklyn had one of the worst drafts I can remember from a team. Like I'm trying to think of the last time a team had a draft haul that I thought this lowly of. And not just me. I feel like the consensus is, rightfully that they screwed up. So I'm very curious if anybody has any ideas or thoughts or like can think of any other drafts that were that totally disastrous. But Brooklyn's at fucking one of the ones. Thoughts on Dash Daniels? I like Dash quite a bit. I haven't watched Dash in about a year, so I don't have like super updated opinions on Dash. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But I always really liked him in like any of the Australia youth competition I watched him. I think he's probably better than Dyson was on offense at the same stage. I think a little smaller though, which definitely matters. But I like Dash. I'm gonna dive more into him this summer for sure. But yeah, Dash is good. I'm gonna dive into all these 2026 guys much more in the summer. So I'll have updated opinions on a guy like Dash. But from the last like notes and watches I have, he seems like a top 10 lottery type guy to me. But I'll see that an intro. I mean, I have some videos on the top guys, Firefish. I have a Boozer Peterson. I have Boozer Peterson and Debanza content, and I have content on a lot of the other returner guys. But I'll definitely do 2026 content at some point during the summer on more, under kind of talked about guys that I'm excited about. That'll definitely happen at some point. But Pacers second rounders. I mean, I think my number one has to be Caulk Brener. Like, I would so love them to get another real 7-footer on the roster. Like we saw what happened this year in the playoffs. I mean, I think Tony Bradley did an admirable job at times, and Thomas Bryant had his moments, but we need better. We badly need better. But I would love basically anybody in this red tier would be a dream for the Pacers, in my opinion, just based on value. And then I really like Seion James, just like another wing point of attack defender. I like Broom as like a versatile big option, but what happened? Yeah, Reno would be interesting. I'm a bit lower on Reno, but I would be totally fine taking Reno at 38. I think he's a good offensive fit with the Pacers for sure. Good offensive fit, absolutely. But what happened to Dink Pate? Just had a pretty poor season in the G League this year. I was never a particularly big fan of Pate. Like I think maybe I like highlight scouted him earlier and I thought he was good, but then like once I actually like dove into watching his tape, I kind of became a little bit skeptical of the stuff that he actually brings, and just a big project, like big point guard, but Who should the Wolves take at 31? I liked the Baron J pick. The Wolves don't have 31 Pablito. They have 36 now. They traded down with Phoenix. And I think they picked up 2 future seconds, which is great business from them, obviously. But yeah, that was excellent work from them. But I like the Baron J pick. Seems like a pretty clear signal to me that they're looking for options and contingency plans in their front court. Naz is, of course, a free agent. I mean, I'd love to see them bring him back. And Baron J is not going to be the Naz replacement, but I think it tracks with wanting them to just get more front court help. And I'm not like as high on Baron J as some, but he is a ridiculous athlete. Like, and the fact that he's as young as he is, like, I believe Baron J is the 3rd youngest player in the class. Yeah, he's the 3rd youngest player in the class behind Cooper and Noah Senge. And that plus the tools, Baron J with Gobert's defensive feel would be ridiculous. Obviously, you know, I mean, he's not even close to how good Gobert was in terms of feel and positioning as a teenager from what I've seen of Gobert at that point. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Wolves picking Behringer overall. I think it's a fun swing. It's a fun swing that I do appreciate. And I understand why they did it. Yeah, I think yes, Jordan Jacket does. I think Baron J started playing basketball like 3 or 4 years ago. I believe he is pretty new to basketball. Yes. I'm so disappointed that VJ picked 77. Like, I get it because he just, you know, couldn't go 7. But yeah, Baron J. Yannick is 4 years older than Baron J. That's why. That's about it. Baron J, 18.6 on draft night. So yesterday, today, Yannick is 22.3. So almost, yeah, just a hair under 4 years older. And that is a massive difference. Whereas Baron J, it's like, you know, he actually has been impactful at his competition level relative to other guys, whereas Yannick has never been an impactful player at any level, is a super project, and is older. Like, he's, you know, he's further along in his development. So that's my main you know, if Baron J was like 22 or something, I probably would think of him similar to Yannick, but the age is definitely important for projecting growth. And I think older project players are risky. They're absolutely risky, which is, you know, part of why I think Coward's risky. I obviously, you know, I like Cedric Coward. I wasn't upset. Looks like we should be getting. I guess the appeal. I mean, I have Fleming clearly over Newell, but I think the appeal must just be like buying his off, like his rebounding and his finishing more, and that he's a bit more of a big than Fleming. But I'm not crazy about Newell, obviously. I'm just gonna tweet it. Hang on. I'm just retweeting this. Did last night speed up the timeline for which San Antonio dominates the league? I mean, I guess kind of, but like, I mean, I think that timeline was sped up on lottery night, right? Like, it's not necessarily anything new. I did like what they did with the Carter Bryant pick. I think that was a good selection. Hard for me to give the Spurs any. Newell was not a shooter in high school, Jay. No, it was the same as college where he would shoot kind of like catch and shoot. Just like basic catch and shoot. I'll quickly pull up Newell's high school shooting stats, actually. Okay, Cerebro Sports has Newell in 1363 minutes at 139 3-point attempts at 33% and 65% at the line. So yeah, nothing to really write home about there in terms of like a pre-NBA or pre-college shooting bet. Hard for me to give the Spurs anything but an A, right? Like they got Harper, which I'm not going to give them extra credit for necessarily, but they, did the right thing, took the obvious superstar prospect, and they did really well with the Carter Bryant pick as well. I like the Carter pick. I like the Carter fit a lot. It's a really logical place for him to develop without much pressure offensively. They're not going to need to rely on him too much for like creation or anything like that. But yeah, I think the Spurs did excellent. It was an excellent Spurs draft. I haven't really dove into the free agents yet, honestly. So I'm not totally sure. I've been too draft pilled to really be looking into the free agents. But yeah, I mean, Lopez would be okay. Miles Turner, if he doesn't get re-signed, but I'm almost sure, I'm pretty certain the Pacers will go into at least I hope so. We'll go into the tax. Like, could maybe be a spot for like Capella as a backup as well. But I'll dive more into free agents after the draft. But prospects, the worst team fit for them, all of the Nets guys. Every single player the Nets picked except for Drake Powell. The great return of Mamu. Absolutely. There you go, Andrew. But yeah, draft is about to begin. At least second round of the draft. Like it's 5:01. So, and as always, especially with the second round, we'll be tipping the picks in here. Or, I don't mind if people tip the picks in here. And I'll talk about the picks as they come out, not as they get announced on TV, especially because in the second round, like, who really cares? But Phoenix on the clock. We assume it's going to be Rasheer Fleming, right? Like, yeah, I'm very surprised the Nets. I mean, they're literally the first team ever that's made 5 first round picks. Like, this is genuinely a historic. I mean, genuinely a historic draft. Not necessarily. Do I like the draft split into 2 days or 1 day? I mean, like, for my personal life as a content creator, I like splitting it up into 2 days so I don't have to do the entire draft in one sitting. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about it, to be perfectly honest. I feel like the day 2 is like a little unnecessary just because the second round is the second round. It's not like football where, second round picks are generally supposed to be starters or more. So I don't know, kind of unnecessary, but like it works well enough for my lifestyle. Getting flamed by your friend saying Jace is a more capable defender than Fears. James, your friend has never watched either of those guys play. I think Jace is definitely a better defender than Fears at this stage. I mean, neither of them are that great. Fears is like better at creating turnovers, I guess. Like his steal rate is higher, I believe. But Jace, I think, is a better just like better instincts and feel for playmaking. I like the kind of ceiling he has as a shot blocker as well. I'm not crazy about either of them on defense. And I think like their defensive ceilings are probably pretty comparable if I had to project, but I think Jace is definitely better today. And it's obviously hard with like, it's always hard with these like high usage college point guards, right? Yeah. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, he does. Those like college point guards with crazy high offensive loads where it's like, most of Fears' defensive problems on tape are effort related, right? So it's like Fantasy, I've said this before, but I'm very confident Fears is going to be a good shooter. His outside of his 3-point shooting, his shooting profile is just excellent. Whether it's his mid-range pull-up shooting, excellent free throw shooting, he's a fairly high volume 3-point shooter. He improved as the season went on. So yeah, part of why I'm high on Fears is because I'm high on him improving, and it's quite common, honestly, for great future shooters to not shoot well. Like, not that this is going to happen, but like Anthony Edwards shot under 30% from 3 in college. Like, there's plenty of examples of poor college shooters, especially ones like freshmen, for sure, developing into better shooters as their careers go on. Like KCP was I'm pretty sure wasn't an efficient shooter in college. Yeah, I think so, fantasy. My like high ends comparison for Fears was always Kemba, like just general, like super incredible ball handling, not that big. Kemba as an 18-year-old wasn't that crazy of a shooter. I'm pulling it up right now. Kemba, his freshman year, shot 29% from 3. His sophomore year shot 34% from 3. His junior year shot 33% from 3. So like, there's gonna be. Yeah, Salas is solid. I could see Salas hanging around. I agree with that. Like I said, not like crazy high on Salas, but he's a solid like second round flyer, I think. But yeah, Fears I definitely trust to develop into a 3-point shooter, and if I didn't trust him to develop into a 3-point shooter, I would not be nearly as high on him, because I agree that like the shooting guards are, like the non-shooting point guards are certainly an issue. Not that this is, anything particularly determinative, but yes, John, agree with that. Here's Maxi Field. I mean, I think they're different players, but similar in terms of like the rim pressure. Here are the list of Here are the list of NBA players who, as a freshman in college, were above 7 threes per 100, above 85% at the line, and above 40 mid-range or non-rim twos made. That list is Tyler Hero, Cam Thomas, Gary Trent Jr., and Bryn Forbes. Trey Johnson is also going to join that list this year, as is Jeremiah Fears. It's like a quote-unquote cherry-picked query, right? It's not everything, but even if you take out the mid-range shooting, it's like Jared McCain, Brandon Miller, Trae Young, Luke Kennard, Grady Dick, Shane Larkin, Aaron Wiggins, Sam Merrill. Like, the volume, the free throw. Yes, Maxi was another guy who I was super. Yeah, I'd say Maxi was one of my biggest, probably one of my biggest draft hits. Like, I was super high Maxi. I totally bought the shooting, and obviously he ended up thankfully developing in the ways that I wanted. But yeah, that's my kind of sales pitch for Jeremiah as a shooter. Like, I really trust him to improve. Yeah, Phoenix is really hitting the 2K trade machine today. They're just like, how can we get whatever second we want? But so what? Phoenix has 31. They have 41. They traded 59 and 52 to Golden State. They traded 36 to Minnesota, obviously. Yeah, I agree with you, James, that my biggest issues with Fears are rim finishing and defense. Yeah, Fleming is good. What do I think of Grady in the NBA? I was pretty enthused by him as a rookie. I honestly don't think I kept up with him I didn't keep up with him a ton this year. I didn't watch a lot of Raptors basketball this season. So I don't have a particularly strong take on Grady this year. Like, the advanced numbers show like a little bit of growth. So I guess that's somewhat encouraging. Like, they show pretty significant growth on both ends, but still like, that still a below average player overall, but also kind of a tough offensive context for Grady, just like without a ton of other creators. So But yeah, I don't have a super strong opinion on Grady Dick. I liked him a lot as a prospect. And after his rookie year, I felt pretty good about him going forward. John, I assume you mean Trey Johnson. That would be crazy if Trey Jones pulled a reverse Ben Simmons and won Rookie of the Year. I guess it's not a reverse Ben Simmons. A team theoretically by the entire second round. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I don't know why they'd want to do that, but they definitely could do that. They wouldn't be able to pay all the players. The Dick Sands. Yeah, that was early in the season, right? It was like because early in the season, it was him and like Bilal were both scoring super well, and then they both kind of fell off offensively to some extent. But Trey Johnson, the best. Good question. I don't know. Good question. Who is the best rookie of the year? Bet. Trey is certainly Gavoni Jr. Oh God. Thanks, I guess. I don't know if that's compliment or not, but I don't have sources like that, unfortunately. I'm just an internet scout. I don't know things like that. But off the top of my head, Trey seems like a good rookie of the year bet outside of Houston. I mean, let's just go. Okay. Harper, probably not, just because of volume, even though I just trolling, I know. Harper, just because of volume, makes some sense to me. Ace, yeah, I agree with you. Ace has a case. Probably not Khan, just because of teammates. Probably not Fears or Queen because of teammates. Probably not seeing like Yegor has like the Nets guy have like a theoretical path, but I just don't really rate any of them. Senge, doubt it. Like the Bulls just don't do much young player stuff. Walter Clayton could go crazy in Utah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think Trey's on. Yeah. I think looking at it, I'd probably say Trey is my Drake Powell Rookie of the Year. I'd probably say Trey is my most likely bet for Rookie of the Year, outside of Flag at this point. That's probably correct. I'd have to think about it more, but like Reno to the Raptors. Oh, Topic, good call. He's not gonna play. Yang Rookie of the Year lock. That would be cool. Fleming is kind of as pure of like a 3-and-D as they come at this stage. I mean, that kind of undersells him because he is more than your average like defensive wing. He's such a phenomenal perimeter defender, both on the ball and as an off-ball playmaker. Offensively, he's going to be spot ups and play finishing. That's all. That's pretty much the only stuff he does on offense. How much would an agent have to pay for you to boost their guy's stock? I don't think any agent is going to pay me a significant enough amount of money to boost a player's stock. I don't think I'm worth that kind of money. Do I like Reno to the Raptors as a theoretical stretch 5? Yeah, that makes sense. As I've said before, I'm a bit lower on Reno. He's my 17th best available player on the board, but that means I'd take him fine. No, I prefer Thero to Fleming, BKR. You can see my board right here. It's like this is my big board. So that's kind of my general order. But I think there's, as you can see, same tier, only a couple spots apart today. I just prefer Thero's upside because he has this crazy power driving. This gotta be 6. Yeah, why hasn't the draft started? I was gonna say, don't we know it is 5:15? This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Or 6 figures. Last night for the day one stream, I believe in total we had 1,600 people in the stream, which is absolutely unbelievable to me, and I'm so grateful that so many people came in and enjoyed the show. Like, it was honestly insane. Were Barlow brothers the fans of Yang? I know Raphael's obviously been around forever. but I don't necessarily know much about their takes. But yeah, I slightly prefer Theo to Fleming because I think Theo's incredible athleticism and driving are a little bit higher upside traits than what Fleming has. But as I said, same tier, and I think it's kind of like I prefer Theo if you're looking for an upside swing, someone to develop. I prefer Fleming if you're looking for someone to play and like fit in off ball in a system more. That's kind of where I land on. Kind of want Brooklyn to take Janai so I can see him next to Drew Timmy. I mean, that would be like the first good player they took. College All-Star team. No, I think Saraf is good. Saraf is good. He just doesn't make sense with their other picks. And Theo's shooting is definitely the main issue and why I have him lower than some people. But the hope for Theo is his mid-range touch extends out to 3 because he shot 48.8% from mid-range this year on 55th percentile volume among his position group. So that's a really promising indicator. I've definitely been a proponent in the past of the value of mid-range creation as a shooting indicator. But the thing for Theo is like a lot of his mid-range shots are like very close twos. But definitely some intrigue though. Like his shot doesn't look broken. He's a great bet for like a team that's confident in their. Mark Tatum said, "Has NBA draft popularity?" Honestly, I have no idea. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, with him out a little weird, kind of, but also like I don't put any stock into that. To be perfectly honest, I mean they made it without Boogie for most of it too. Like they made that run. Daniel, I so badly want the Celtics to draft Caulk Brener. I think Ryan Kalkbrenner is the guy at 32 for them. "2026 projected a stronger draft." At the very top, yes. Throughout the rest of the lottery, after the top 3 or 4, no. my optimistic Penda comparison is like Herb Jones, and my more realistic Penda comparison is like a Kenrich Williams type, just like cerebral role player who adds value as like a connective passer, a defender, but doesn't really give you much on offense outside of just play finishing in terms of scoring. Yeah, Steven, you're far from alone on that. I know quite a few people who had Theo in that range or really high. And I think I lean closer to Theo at 10 than Theo outside of the first round. So like I'm kind of a Theo-centrist compared to, draft Twitter, quote unquote draft Twitter versus consensus. S-Jabs, I don't give teams at the top extra credit for taking the best players. Like Charlotte, I think I give Charlotte credit for taking Khan because there were so many other plausible options, but there weren't at 1 and 2. So I don't really have it in me to give them an A+ for doing something that, for doing something that's like expected and literally almost everyone would do. Okay, finally, we're rolling. Let's go. So assuming, are we like pretty sure that this is going to be Fleming? I would imagine this is just going to be Fleming, right? Like, is Brea is on my board. Queen gets a B+ because the trade up to get Derek Queen was horrific. No, I would have kept Phil. I think they made the right pick. I think Konsa would have taken. I prefer Brea over Lanier just because I think he is a legitimately special shooter. But yeah, close necessarily. I was there for the Michael Kidd Gilchrist and Marvin Bagley picks. Fair enough. Fair enough. I hear that. Makes sense. That's just how I grade these guys, and if you do it differently, that's totally fine. But I do hear that. It makes sense. Can we get this pick in, please? Yeah, I like Broom as well. Just a really solid complementary center bet. Like, I very much don't think he is like a star or anything necessarily, but I'm a fan of his just in terms of what he can bring as a playmaker, short roll guy. I think he's a pretty promising, at least like open catch and shoot guy. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan. Yes, James, we're cool with. Yo, Kiravel, what's up, buddy? I will not convince you that the Heat are going to win the East, buddy. Um, I'm I cannot and will not do it. Okay, there's the Fleming pick. Rasheer Fleming. Pull my card up for him. Fleming was, as we can see, the fourth highest available player on my board and a ridiculous defensive prospect. Like, I'm not crazy about Fleming's offense. He was where was he? Still so many of these like off-ball wing fours available. But I really like Fleming. He's an incredibly high-level defender, and I'm a big fan of that pick. Suns did jump the Celtics for Fleming. Yes, making St. Joe's proud. Steven, I like the Hugo pick. It makes sense to me as a developmental flyer. Like, his defense is awesome. He's a great athlete, and I trust his shot's like not so broken. I think I'm gonna give this an A. It's like maybe A minus because it's like a slight bit. He's like a tad bit redundant for Dunn, but oh yeah, I think Rocco is like his absolute ceiling comparison. It's definitely not likely he hits that, but I think that's within his ranges of outcomes, and I think that's why I was very okay with him as a first round pick. Is everyone round one coming over or any stash guys? Good question. Someone said, I think Alex, you said what makes Clayton different than any other 4-year guard who put up monster shooting numbers as a senior. I think my main answer to that is Clayton was putting up monster shooting numbers as a freshman. He was incredible throughout his entire college career. He wasn't necessarily a late breakout guy. He was someone who was incredible early on, and I think he has way more skills than just shooting that makes him a phenomenal player. Okay, wait. Celtics trading the pick per Goodman to take Penda. Wait. So this is Orlando now. I don't believe Orlando had a second round pick. Oh, they had 46. Okay, wait. Penda to Orlando goaded if that's the case. I'll throw the Penda card back up. Noah Penda scouting profile. Orlando is balling, man. Penda and Jace, man, that's an incredibly cool haul, assuming that's right. Woo, Jace FC. This is Orlando. And my best player off the board. There's my best player available. And that is an A grade, no doubt about it. I mean, Penn is an unbelievable 4 second-round picks. Maybe not. Maybe an A is a little rich for that, honestly. Wow. 4 second-round picks? Okay, the 46 and 57 go to Boston. Let me update that. Yeah, it's a great deal for Boston. That is, I mean, I think I'm still going to give him an A just because, yeah, I mean, seconds aren't that valuable. What were the tickets to Yannick? I mean, Clayton didn't declare earlier just because he didn't have that kind of buzz. I mean, I think a lot of players choose to return to college basketball, especially now because of NIL and because of again, like Clayton could have gone 2 years ago out of Iona, and they could have he could have maybe been a second round pick and developed. But it makes sense because I think players do generally develop more in college than they do on the bench and in the NBA and stuff. So I think that's like a good reason. Joe, Boston got 4 second round picks. They got 46. They got 46, they got 57, and then a 2026 and 2027 second round pick. So great job by Boston. I don't hate it by any means for the Magic. It's not like a bad play by any means, just because second round picks aren't so valuable. But man, that's a great deal for the Celtics. Cool. So I feel like I like Herb Jones as a comp for Penda because I think it works offensively too. Herb offense, he's improved as a playmaker, has some funky driving and passing, but just need passable enough shooting to where he can't get ignored. So I think that just honestly, I think Kenrich is more of an offensive comp and Herb is more of a defensive comparison of the two that I have listed here. In terms of the prospect similarity. Yeah, this Magic defense is going to be absolutely ridiculous. That is insane. Absolutely nuts. Who do we have next? Next, we have Charlotte at 33. I would guess Charlotte takes one of these centers, right? So many of these available picks. We got our first guest of the night popping in right now.
Yo.
Good buddy Derek Parker. Derek, how's it going?
It's going phenomenally.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Congrats on the title, of course. For those who don't know Derek, he covers the Thunder and the draft, has a great YouTube channel, has been on the channel before, but Thunder don't have any picks today because they traded this.
I think they pick at 44 still. Yeah, 44. But
they do.
I don't know if they'll end up keeping that or not. They could always, make that a two-way player. There'll be some fun options there, but not earth-shattering stuff happening for Oklahoma City today, obviously.
Yeah, the Thunder are chilling, man. You don't need to stress ever about that.
I haven't got your thoughts, by the way. Just quickly, what do you think of Sorber at 15?
I love it. It's one of my favorite picks of the draft. I mean, I'm a Sorber guy.
Yeah. I
think one of the only things that they really quote unquote needed was more contingency and long-term backups and, plans in the front court. Isaiah Hardenstein. I think if you're going to kind of develop anybody to be a eventual Isaiah Hardenstein replacement when they probably won't have the money to bring him back in 3 summers or 2 summers or whenever, Sorber feels like that guy, right? I think so. And I also liked the Neek, even though it kind of crushed me because just for a second I thought they'd get Neek and that would be the coolest thing ever. But I mean, the trade down that they made, it's basically like a late first that immediately rolls into 2 seconds if it doesn't convey, right?
Yep.
right? Yeah. So I get it, but hey, any thoughts on these first couple picks of the second round, and or who are who are your best players on the board? Who are you excited about? To see where they go today.
I think the first couple picks went as expected. Like, I think I would have had Fleming and Penda probably as two of my best available. So, like, I get teams wanting them, trading up for those guys. I mean, I wasn't massively high on Rasheer Fleming, but like at this point in the draft, completely and totally get it. Betting
Yeah, I
on a
agree.
guy who
I agree.
highly athletic, obviously projects to probably be able to shoot the three. Not like super, super sold on that skill for him. But again, at this point, 31, totally fine with taking that swing. And then Penda, I am in on. I wasn't necessarily thinking for the Magic. Now looking
Yeah, that's
back, like
kind of weird.
he's a very magic-y guy. Like they do have a type. But I mean, it's fine. I think he'll play. I think he'll get some burn there. So I've liked it so far.
It's been, yeah, I mean, two of the four best players on the board for me in the second round go off. Penda was my best player available, so definitely makes sense. Now, any non-Thunder related, any actually just how does it feel to win the NBA title? I mean, let me just live vicariously a little bit through you. I mean, what's that been like?
I don't want to hijack the draft stream with
It's
just
fine.
like Thunderball.
I asked you the question. It's fine.
It was awesome, man. I mean, obviously, as like a reporter, a writer, a coverer of the
Sure,
draft, it was like surreal just to like be able to do that. Just because, I mean, how many people in our situation even get to experience it? Like, not very many.
very
So
few. Yeah.
it was amazing. It was especially cool from like a draft lens of like I'm actively doing work on the draft, like kind of seeing in real time like what it takes to get it done, like what archetypes are successful at the biggest stage of basketball, things like that. So, and then obviously I'm like baking in the parade sun, thinking about Noah Penda's effective field goal percentage. Like it was just a whiplash to go from parade to draft 3 days later, but
No, that's
super fun
awesome.
experience.
I'm sure that would be cool. Hopefully, I get to experience that one day. But it was cool to come close. It was cool to come close.
Yeah,
But
I honestly forgot you were a Pacers guy.
I am a Pacers
What
fan.
an unbelievable basketball team, dude. Like if the Thunder had not won, it still would have been cool just because like the absolute team of all the teams of destiny, the Pacers having been it would have just been
They were really the team.
unbelievable.
Okay, Charlotte takes Seion James at 33. What do you think of
Wow.
Seion James?
I like Seion.
Seion is my 12th best player available. So, slight reach by my board at this point, but still a player that I like quite a bit. What are your thoughts on Seion, Derek?
I had him in this range. Now, I didn't necessarily think he would get drafted here, but I mean, obviously, big bodied wing. I think he does all the right things. Like, I think he'll contribute to winning basketball in some capacity. Man, Charlotte has had an interesting draft between Knipple, McNeely,
Oh, that's
and
their
Seion.
second. That's their second Duke guy. I just registered in my head. And yeah, James is. I mean, I think Charlotte has made it very clear to us that they want high field guys, they want smart players, they want connectors, they want defenders, and based on how their drafts have gone the last 5-10 years, I think that's a great strategy. Honestly, like I
think
totally
so too.
buy that.
There's worse things to bet on than feel for the game, certainly. Even if like the tools aren't necessarily there, like I think Knipple will be fine, but like the tools for Seion aren't like elite, but still, I mean, feel and just like playing impactful basketball can carry you pretty far, as we've seen.
For sure. I think it makes sense to get him on a team where like, the one thing Seion cannot do is score. And the one thing that the Hornets have a crap load of is guys who can score.
Right.
That's kind of all they've drafted over the last 10 years or whatever. So, I think this is a good situation for him. I mean, incredible point of attack defender, thick, long. I mean, man, just like look at the bicep and like the shoulder definition, like unbelievably jacked guy. Seems like a really smart, like thoughtful guy also in all of like the interviews I've seen of him talking. Yeah, it looks like I really like, overall what the Hornets have done so far. I don't know what you thought of McNeely. I wasn't crazy about like him as a prospect, but he made sense for, I guess, now knowing what the Hornets kind of process is.
Yeah, I was the same. I wasn't like massive on him, but at 29, I mean, just another thing you like we cover these prospects, but you also have to think relative to like numbers too of like, okay, I'm not massively high on McNeely at 15, but at 29, that's probably good value for a guy
Yeah,
who
that's
was a
fine.
5-star, is huge, should shoot, dribble, pass. Like, so I like the pick for Charlotte. I think they maybe could have stood to gone front
Those
court.
are Lou Dort arms. That's the Seion James absolutely yoked out of his mind. Yeah, I think again, Liam, like I kind of thought like a team would take him at 13, 14, 15, and I would have criticized that. But like it's perfectly fine to me. Like I don't
Right.
know, he's going to be a shooter. Like I don't think he's going to necessarily like move the needle for a team like Charlotte, but it's just and yeah, it's definitely possible that Liam is underrated because of the injury or just fell because of his injury. I wasn't like so crazy about McNeely's season even before he got hurt, but I do agree that the injury definitely didn't help, especially for a guy who already is like athletically challenged. People are saying Sion's gonna have to play center for the Hornets.
That was the one thing about the McNeely pick that was interesting to me is like they traded Mark Williams in that picking up that pick is like, what are they going to do with their front court? Like, is Salone going to get burned?
Let this be Kalkbrenner, please. That's if this pick is Kalkbrenner, it all makes so much sense.
Oh, I didn't realize they went back to back here.
Yeah, they have 34 as well. So they have 34.
Ooh.
And then I think that's their last pick of the night, at least at the moment. Yeah, we have
It
Charlotte.
Has to be a big, right?
You think Reno maybe? I know people are high. He's high on consensus boards. Maybe they go Zakarsky. Like, who's the highest bigs on the consensus board? Okay, so the consensus board has Reno at 28, Caulk at 31, and then they have, I guess, like Markovich and Broom are bigs, but they're not really centers.
Right. It's shocking to me that Reno's ahead of Kalkbrenner for some reason. I feel like every board I see has like Kalkbrenner absurdly high. Not that that's a bad thing, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm very high on Kalkbrenner, but I think I was like the lowest of any of like the Swish theory people, which is like there are definitely some draft Twitter people who are really high on Kalkbrenner, which I'm like, I think, just based on how I value prospects, probably a little rich, but like I can understand it if it's just like, I'm confident this guy's going to be a rotation player.
Right.
So I'm cool ranking him highly. I'm like, that's not how I view the draft, but I understand it.
Reno and Charlotte, where literally every player on the floor is going to be able to space, would be really fun.
That would be interesting. Yeah. I'd love Theo as well. I mean, like, that would just be a great value and a great player. Like, he would be really good.
I think he's probably my best available at this point. I think I had him somewhere like 17, 19, something like that.
Yeah,
I was pretty high on him. So
yeah, we're in lockstep there. I had him at 20. He's my best guy available. Yeah, so 5 quote unquote first round grades to me left: Theo, Kalkbrenner, Cam Jones, Javon Small, Jameer Watkins, and then quite a few second rounders. But yeah, I mean, this pick is in. People are saying, I'm seeing like people saying in the chat that it's 4 different names. Can we get a source on this? Oh, Gavoni says it's Kalkbrenner. Beautiful. I mean,
wow.
That's wonderful. Kalkbrenner to the Hornets. Just quick thoughts. I mean, we've kind of been dancing around. I feel like we've been dancing around this for the last 5 minutes.
I have to look at their roster. Does he doesn't start, does he? Do they have Nurkic still?
They have Nurkic and like Diabate. He might start.
Ooh. I mean, that's fun. Like you said, like there's a great chance that he just plays in the NBA for 10 years and is very solid in all of them. Like, I like the pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an easy A pick for me. I mean, it's a value. This is a guy who I had a first round grade on. Charlotte went insane. I can't remember the last time I've ever thought this about a Charlotte Hornets draft.
Well, especially coming off last year when like maybe like the pinnacle of all Charlotte Hornets drafts.
Even as someone who I think I was probably a little higher on Salon than a lot of people, but even I was like, I don't know. 1, 6 was rich. 2, to the Hornets. Like I would have, if a different team took him at 6, maybe I would have felt better about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I just think they've clearly this. Is this Jeff Peterson's first draft, or is this the new GM's first draft or second draft?
I really don't know.
Okay, look this up.
I don't make it a habit to like have deep inner knowledge of the Charlotte Hornets.
Extremely understandable. Okay, no, they named him GM last March, so this must be his second draft. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely a very different direction than
wow.
than they went last year.
KJ Simpson was awesome though. I loved that pick. So that like somewhat salvaged the Salone pick, but
I loved KJ, and I still hope he can turn into something. I still have faith.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I watched like literally any of KJ Simpson or the Charlotte Hornets much this year. I think I watched a couple games like when Trey Mann was healthy. Thunder legend though.
The Trey Mann start to the season was legendary indeed.
He was legitimately awesome. So this is gonna be whatever happened to Grant Riller. Grant Riller is playing in Beijing right now. He's a Chinese league legend. We were talking about the CBA earlier with like the rebound leaders in that league being like Jared Sullinger, Kenny Lofton. It's a hilarious league. Like it's really an awesome. It's really hilarious.
What did you think about the Trailblazers draft yesterday with Yang?
I mean, like it was just a massive reach by my board, and I'm shocked by it. I like trading down. I think that was good, and I'm confused about how it works with Klingon. Like, you know, another center who I feel like more than Klingon, like he needs the ball in his hands more than Klingon to add value. They already have a lot of guys who play with the ball in their hands. It's just confusing to me more than anything. Like, you know, I don't give it a high grade just because of the reach. I don't know what you think about. I don't know if we ever talked about Yang. What are your thoughts on Yang?
I liked him. I feel like I was a little higher than most. I think I had him at like just outside the top 30, which I feel like was higher than a lot of people. Obviously not the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
I'm always down for like a gamble on those like kind of hub-esque,
sure,
like huge bigs. Now when I say that, I usually mean from like the 30 to 40 range, not at number 16.
Right. There's like a lot of good players on the board, but
I'm just mostly excited that like a team did value him that high. Like obviously, cool. I think there was still like probably some room to trade back and still get him, but at some point they were like, you know what? F it. Like we like him this much, we're just gonna pull the trigger. And that's exciting to me because like, what are they seeing? Like, how much are they gonna play him? Like he'll probably obviously get some G League burn early, but man, interesting.
Obviously, it's like because they have. I mean, I don't think Klingon is obviously their foundational piece. I don't know if they're like factoring in Ayton or Robert Williams much with like a pick like this, right? It's like I don't think those guys are necessarily like long term. But I really like Portland moving down with Memphis. Like they got a future first and some seconds, right? Moving, man. Some Blazers love their Giants. John Butler, you remember John Butler? Wow.
Assume they were worried about the Nets drafting him. That's probably true. Looking back at what the Nets did.
Yeah, that could definitely. Someone Steven says Sixers taking Broom. That would be a pretty solid pick, I think.
Yeah, I'm fine with that given Embiid's health of late.
Yeah, I really like them getting more big man help. Like you said, it's just like, who are their other bigs on the roster? Like, who do they even have besides Joel? Like, they have Adam Bona, I know. Is it literally just him? Like, who else?
Drummond? I don't know what Drummond's status is. He's usually a year-to-year guy.
He's a free agent, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
like
probably so.
They have...
That might be it. I think that's it.
They have Isaiah Mobley. They have Thunder legend Alex Reese. But yeah, I think Broom makes a whole lot of sense here.
He'll be playable. I mean, he's a guy you could throw out there in year one, I think, and do very similar things.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's basic. Let me add this. Broom, one of my better players on the board. I mean, he's just like a very like fine, solid rotation big bet to me. Like, I think it's like a B type pick, at least off the top of my head. He's a great I think passing is definitely the best thing that Broom brings. Like, he is a sick passer
and especially with that guard rotation now and like the kind of wing rotation they have going, like to get a decent passing big in the back end rotation there is like probably the best thing they could have done.
Absolutely. And like, I think he was my best big on the board. So I think that was if they were going to take a big, I like them taking Broom. And I really like what he can do on offense with, people saying, and you said like with McCain, with Maxey, with VJ. It's a good fit. I don't have a Broom graphic, unfortunately. I'm not going to have graphics for a lot of these second round picks, unfortunately. What do you think of the Yannick pick, Derek?
Not my favorite one. Mainly just given who was on the board, and like I don't know that the Clippers necessarily have a like strong direction, but still it just felt so weird. Like he's seen a meteoric rise in a month or so, and I just can't quite like reconcile. So not my favorite one. I think it was my lowest graded pick of the first round, which is unfair for like the 30th, but
sure. Like I agree with you that it was like Duolingo did crazy damage to Broom. I agree that it was like one of like just like by value on my board. There were so many other bigs I liked. A super raw 22-year-old project. But I only say that because I said this last night on my stream. I was so upset that I had a graphic prepared for every single first round pick except for him. I was like, I even had one ready for Yang. I had one ready for like Berenger. I had one ready for Hugo, but I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's tough.
Oh my goodness, the last guy.
Well, his name probably can't fit on the graphic anyway.
Probably true. His name doesn't even fit on my column right here.
As an Oklahoma City writer, typing in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and all these names, there's several more, but Conan Niederhauser would be my nightmare.
Who said he's their best big draftee since Kevin Gele? Is he the only big they've drafted since Kevin Gele? Kevin Gele, Daniel Oturu was fascinating. The Clippers scouting department. I feel like over the last 10 years, they've got to be up there with like the least hits on, like they did the Jerome Robinson in 2018. Like there's got to be. Yeah, so someone said Jeremiah Robinson Earl, another one for you.
Yes.
With the name. So Minnesota on the clock right here. Good. They trade down. I'd love for this to be Theo. Honestly, I'd love for this to be Cam Jones. I don't know what you think about Cam Jones. Oh, someone says the Lakers traded for 36. Oh, is this for really? Is this Reno? I feel like this could be Reno.
Could be, which Shams officially reported 36. I don't know that like if you would have told me that they drafted a second round big, he probably would have been like my least favorite of the options, but still very fun. Yeah, and like, is it someone saying it's Theo? Wow, I really that's awesome. That's incredible.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Next to Luka.
Oh wow, man. Shout out to Linka. Yeah, that's my best player available my best player available just goes off the board. He was my last, real lock first round pick. I had him in the top 20. I think you said you had him right around the top 20 as well. We talked a little bit about Theo pre-draft, but since you're also high on him, what's your this is an easy A grade as well. Just amazing value here. What did you think about Theo? What's your case on, why he's good? Why you're high on him?
I think first off, I just love a forward with a guard background. That's like always a plus for me in terms of like feel and just like having the ball in your hands in any capacity. Secondly, I just think he's so athletic, like so versatilely athletic in terms of like having both speed, strength, like a little bit of bend. Like he's just like, to me, far and away, one of the most athletic players in this class that I can't help but feel he'll have like positive impact in the NBA. And then he's like a few things away from like even being better than a lot of people are anticipating in terms of like, if he can shoot, which I know is like a far cry right now, but if the handling tightens up even a little more, like I just think he has like a pretty clear pathway to NBA impact. And especially in a team like this that, you've got 2 all-time passers. Like this is going to be so fun in terms of like him getting out in transition, him in the dunker spot, things like that.
Lakers send 45 and cash. So, I mean, great business not giving up. I mean, that's awesome. Not giving up a pick.
They reached into their cash bag today because they used cash to go from 55 to 45.
This new ownership.
It happens quick.
I feel A+ this because they didn't give them a pick.
They said, you have how much money sitting around?
How many billions? How many billions?
Yeah, great pick. Wow. Theo in the purple and gold warms my heart.
That's going to be a really cool fit.
Do we think he plays much in year 1?
Depending on how their offseason goes, maybe he could, just because, like, they're, as we know, the Lakers were so thin this year. I could see it, honestly. Wouldn't shock me if and I'm curious to see how JJ Redick uses him. I like what he did with a lot of stuff on offense, but I like that. That's awesome. I love that. It's so funny, man. They literally got the new owner, and it's like did they move? Okay, so yeah, because what wasn't it? They did 55 in cash to get to 45 with Chicago, and then they did 45 in cash to get to 36.
They said we'll just pay. We have it on standby. We don't need to send extra assets. We don't have any. All we have is money.
That's so sick. That's honestly awesome. Shout out to the Lakers, man. That's hilarious. I love
baller.
That.
It's kind of
that's incredibly sick, and I give them a ton of credit for it. That's awesome. Just like, yeah, this is the new billionaire owner's first. It's like so much money that I'd be like, Mom, or I'd go to like my family and be like, Mom, guess how much this Lakers owner is worth? It's just like billions. It's just like, man, that's great. I mean, I trust the Lakers scouting department generally. I feel like over the last decade plus, the Lakers are one of the better drafting teams in the league. Now, what they do with those picks after they draft them, sometimes questionable.
Yeah.
Sometimes questionable, right? But I think their scouting is pretty rock solid. So like the fact that the Lakers made this pick. So the Wolves, Pistons at 37. Someone said Lanier 37. Is this real? Is this it? If so, I hope so, because I put that in my mock draft. I think that might be like the third pick I get right after Cooper and Dylan.
Oh, my mocks this year were horrible relative to what actually happened.
Oh my God. It was so bad.
Which is everyone. I mean,
I feel like this year was particularly crazy compared to the last few.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Like there was more wild stuff happening this year.
I was pretty busy in that, like, it would have been like from 9 to 13. So I didn't even get to digest that range. And it was like maybe the craziest in terms of like.
So does Lanier. Cool. I like that.
They did take Lanier.
That is the Malik Beasley. That is the low cost Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. replacement.
Yeah.
That is exactly what this pick is. I like Lanier. Pretty impressive offensive player. Great shooter. Nothing crazy. Definitely seems like we're taking this guy and this is an easy contingency plan overall. I'll move the list down. So let me do that. That's better. There we go. We're about to be joined by another guest, Ricky O'Donnell. Welcome back to the show. How's it going, Ricky?
I'm good. I'm just hanging out, guys, so I don't want to interrupt.
No, we're glad to have you. I mean, we're just talking second round. Chaz Lanier just went to the Detroit Pistons. Pacers on the clock, guys. Pacers on the clock. Oh man.
Thoughts, Ben? Like, who do you want here?
Man?
I would be so happy if it's any of these three guys. Cam, Javon, Jameer Watkins. Those would be awesome. I'd love for it to be like Zakarsky. I'd be okay with that. Would be interesting. I like Markovich. I like Brea. They're gonna take somebody. The Pacers never take anybody who I want them to take.
Except for Jarris Walker. You wanted Jarris Walker.
I did want Jarris Walker. I'd like Markovic. Markovic would be really cool. It would just be funny if they took Baby Nembhard. Actually, so like the Pacers later round picks I tend to like. Like I liked the Andrew Nembhard pick. I liked the Ben Shepherd pick a lot. Like I liked the Kendall Brown pick when they did that. So I think they're better in the second round in terms of like how I like them. But anyways, but let's see who they take here. Curious to see who my team gets right here. How do I feel about Mathurin? Derek, how do you feel about Mathurin as a Thunder guy? Let's
He is solid. I was a big fan of Mathurin in the draft. Like I really liked him. I think I had him like 6. He went 6, right?
Yes.
So I was a big fan of him coming in. Obviously he got hurt. Didn't quite have like the development path that he probably wanted. He just does things that others can't in terms of like being an athlete and filling it up. But there were also times throughout the postseason where he just like the decision making and the shot selection just wasn't necessarily there. And I'm not sure you can expect that of like a third-year player, like whatever. He's in the NBA finals against one of the greatest defensive teams of all time. But there were times he just kind of jumped out to me as like, what are you doing, buddy? Like you got to pass out there. You got to like save that shot for another time. But a solid player who will obviously get better now. He's got this like deep playoff experience. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, he grew on me a lot throughout the playoffs. I mean, like I am a longtime Mathurin doubter, but like I simply can't doubt the kind of stuff that he did this year. I mean, he just like is wired totally different than most of the Pacers in terms of how aggressive he is as a driver and a shooter. Okay, Mark Tatum, let's see. Let's go, Cam Jones. Let's go. Oh my goodness, they took the best player on my board. When does that happen?
That is a real cool pick, and he can instantly step in while Halliburton's out next year.
That's a guy who plays. That's a guy. One of the most do either of you have a comparison you like for Cam Jones? Because he's one of the players who, some of these guys I think have pretty easy comparisons. I have not seen a comparison that I think is even kind of good for Cam Jones, just because he's so unique.
Yeah, I don't know if I have one either. I mean, his ability to kind of morph between like what he wants to do well is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, and putting me on the spot, I can't come up with one at the moment, but I really like Cam Jones. I wrote an article on 3 sleepers that I like in this draft. My number one guy, Cam Jones, now an Indiana Pacer. It's funny how that typically works out that way. But what I liked about him is just how malleable he was. Like, he was an off-ball shooter, really, for his first couple of years. Caulk leaves. He steps into the point guard role. Suddenly, he's putting up a 40% assist rate. Really good assist-to-turnover ratio, too, for a guy who had never really played on the ball in college before. And I think a couple years ago, I did a big thing on Marquette's offense. I just really liked watching Marquette when they had Oso Ighodaro and they had Caulk. So I'm a Cam Jones guy, tried and true. I think this is a very cool pick. And it'll be interesting to see, like, how do the Pacers use him? Do they use him as more of an off-ball shooter? Are they going to let him be the backup point guard on the team next year? Like, is he going to back up Nembhard? Is he going to play next to Nembhard at times? I'm just
I love the role versatility, right? Like the fact that he has done so many different things throughout his college career. The fact that he can do so many different things, I think is a really nice thing. And man, that's awesome. I am so stoked. I mean, the Pacers are a pretty fine drafting team. They don't always take the players I want, but I think they get good outcomes, a decent amount of the time. But man, I mean, Cam was the only one of my favorite like niche stats this year was that Cam this year, his half court assist to turnover ratio, so not taking into account transition, was 3. The second highest in the draft, I believe, was Kobe Sanders, who was like 2.5. So like nobody even close. And he touched the ball so much. He's like one of the highest assist rate guys, one of the highest usage rate guys in the class. Curious if either of you have like any in-depth thoughts on his passing, because like his playmaking numbers and volume are absurd, but I feel like on tape he doesn't look like a crazy like high-end playmaker to me.
My only read on that was I felt like Shaka did a really good job setting up passing reads for his guys. Like I really like that Marquette offense over the last couple of years. So I don't have much more than that. Like to me, he was always more of a shooter. And then of course he takes on this big on-ball role this year. The shooting tails off a bit. It'll be interesting to see if he can meet in the middle there. Derek, do you have any thoughts on his passing?
I mean, his passing, obviously, like you said, isn't like the flashiest thing. The reason I liked him so much was the exact same reasons I liked Neek Clifford in the first round. And just that, like, guys like this who run the gamut of collegiate roles where, like you said, he can function off ball, but then moonlight as that kind of lead guard. Like, and especially him, he was probably even more successful than Neek at certain things. So I just really like players that can do that can morph across a few different positions. So even while the passing might not be like S tier, like, is it going to be better than most of these guys who are also going to be able to hit a crap ton of threes? Sure.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the interesting balance, right? Like what someone said, the Bleacher Report stream said his player comp is Malik Monk. That is hilarious. I'd like somebody. I would like anybody who's like unfamiliar with this to go watch the Malik Monk 40 whatever point game against North Carolina his draft year, and then watch any Cam Jones highlight. And man, if Cam was a Malik Monk level athlete, he'd go top 20.
I loved Malik Monk. I saw him play live in EYBL on that Arkansas team, and he was just like hitting like 25-foot pull-up threes like it was nothing. It was so sick. And he was a huge, huge high school star. Was
he really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So also on that trip, this is how old I am, I saw Tatum play Trae Young and Michael Porter Jr. in Lexington, Kentucky.
I feel like that game is on YouTube, I think. Like was it like Mocan or was it like St. Louis Chaminade for...
It was Chaminade. No, it wasn't Chaminade. It was the St. Louis Eagles or something.
Okay, yeah. So that was
versus Mocan.
Okay, so maybe that was like that was like the AAU team at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
The Raptors take Elijah Martin. Interesting.
Oh wow, I kind of liked him for the Bulls at 55. Now he's going.
Yeah.
I
early. I had Martin was the... Where do I have Elijah? I wasn't particularly on him. 51st player that I had available today, but like somewhat interesting. Either of you thoughts on Elijah Martin? I mean, Ricky, you said you liked him for the Bulls. What was your thoughts on Elijah Martin that made you?
So I had him 43 on my board. And I just view him as one of those guys who, like, you get him in the organization and he raises the level of competition at practice every day. Like, I just like his pedigree. I like his physicality. So low maintenance. Like, you know that Elijah Martin's not going to come in and be a dumb guy in your organization in any sense of the word. Like, he's just going to be a professional, handle his shit. Got 2 different programs to the Final Four, won the national championship this year, and like no signature skill, I would say, for Elijah Martin. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but
he's a sick athlete. Like,
yeah, he's just like an athletic, strong guy who's like decently well-rounded at the aspects of basketball. So that's why
one of the names that I thought of when I watched him was like David Nwaba, Bulls legend.
Yes.
He's kind of like a 6'2", 6'3" wing, right? It's like that kind of role. We're like probably not going to be anything incredibly special. I have to run to the bathroom for 5 seconds, but before I do that, I'm just going to ask either of you favorite, least favorite picks of day one, favorite, least favorite storylines, and I'll let you take that and be back. So,
you want to kick us off, Ricky? Favorite pick?
I wanted to hijack the conversation, but okay, to ask you some questions, but I'm going to think about this. Favorite pick? I mean, Jace Richardson immediately to the Magic at 25. Okay. I had Jace Richardson as a low-end lottery prospect. I am worried about the fact that he had a hole in his femur 2.5 years ago when he was a high school player. Like, the size is obviously concerning. I'm more concerned about his injury history because I kind of think he's such a good high-level player, like high-feel player and a knockdown shooter, that he can overcome his size, especially in Orlando when he's going to have the Monstars behind him defensively who can they cover up his weaknesses so well, and he fills their needs so well as another shooter. So Jace Richardson, I would say there.
I mocked him there quite a bit when they had 16. So I thought getting him at 25 especially was like really great value.
We got all of Jace FC as you said. Yeah. I love the Jace Richardson pick. I mean, I think maybe the best combination of value and fit in the draft. Like, I feel like Jace might be like, I don't know, maybe Cooper Flag, but I'm like, how many prospects just didn't fit better with this Magic team than like,
yeah,
a dynamic shooting guard who's an incredible off-ball player? Like, that's just an awesome pick. And I like Penda a lot as well. But
Ben, can I ask Derek a question?
You can do whatever you'd like. Also,
so you guys both, more closely follow actually good teams. The team that I most closely follow, the Chicago Bulls, is very stupid and bad and hopeless. But when I was evaluating this class, I liked Senge. I had him 10th on my board. I know Ben was a skeptic, and I credited Ben for being a skeptic because it felt like there was a lot of positive groupthink on Senge late in the class. So I like that Ben's like, nah, this guy kind of sucks. Like, I don't really like him. But now the Bulls took him. So Derek, how did you evaluate him? And what do you think about that pick for the Bulls?
Ricky's a great host. You can just take this over. I'll it out.
No, I love it. I have been a little bit of a Bulls skeptic, obviously, just over the last 10 years. Like you touched on it, like they've not had their best decade, I would say, but I was really, really glad that they took Senge because I was high on him. I fell into that kind of groupthink category, mainly because I do think he's obviously high ceiling in that he's like probably the toolsiest prospect in this draft. Like I know Malawach is up there, but I think in terms of like the general movement style, I think I prefer to Senge a little bit. And then I also think he's almost high floor, just being that the pathway to him being successful at a lot of things in the NBA is pretty wide open. I mean, like all that has to happen is a few things have to go his way, and he's playable in so many different areas. He'll be a versatile defender if he can shore that up. If he can hit threes, that'll be great. His like free throw rate and things like that. I think he's very physical around the rim. I think he's got a little more feel than like these typical like prospects do in this range and of this caliber. Like problems with Salon and even with Ousmane Dieng at times were like, there's just not a lot of workability when you like, so I have to bring him up. Any stream I get into, I have to bring him up. There's just not a lot of workability when they're like out in transition and like making plays on the fly. Like I think Senge has a little bit more of that in his bag. So I'm fine with the pick. I like it. I think the Bulls are on the right track because I was high on Bazelis as well.
The Bulls are never on the right track, so I'm going to stop you right there. But I do like Modest. Ben liked the Modest pick too. Interesting. My last thing.
I like the Senge fit. I'll say. Okay. I think the Bulls, as we talked about last time, I just like with their transition, fast-paced style, perfect offensive fit. They need a young, athletic wing defender. So, I mean, I think, like I said, it's like a slight reach by my board. Like I'm not so low on him. I still had him in like the mid-teens, but.
But you thought taking Derek Queen there was a slam dunk, no-brainer pick, which is totally fair, and it may prove to be true, obviously. Like, what do I know?
All right. Micah Peavy to the Pelicans at 40.
Micah Peavy's
I got to bounce, unfortunately.
All good, Derek. Anything you'd like to plug? Anything you want to say? Anything people you can – what you got going on?
Like you touched on, I do some work over at YouTube. I would say that stuff's still evergreen. Derek-Parker over there. Go check out. I've got a lot of prospect scouting reports. You can go look at them, see who your team drafted and stuff like that. But other than that, this was a blast.
Awesome.
These guys know what they're talking about, and I leave this in good hands.
Huge thank you, Derek. Enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, congrats on the title. Sucks it couldn't have been us, but
All right, guys. See ya.
Ricky, you got any thoughts on Micah Peavy here?
So is his dad David Peavy? I want to Google this now.
I'm going to be so real, I have no idea who that is.
Who coached Ron Holland in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, Dave Peavy. So I talked to David Peavy because I wrote a big story on Ron Holland before the draft last year. Ben, me and you were both big Ron Holland guys. And his dad is hilarious. He was like the ultimate truth teller. He's basically like, Ron's a clown. Like he needs to shape up quite a bit. He was like, most of the time you talk to a high school coach about their NBA prospect when he's about to enter the draft, and it's just like the most flowery, complimentary language. And he was still like coaching him, even though he's a couple years removed from actually coaching
That's
him.
Awesome.
I'm gonna admit, dude, I didn't watch much PV. Obviously, I saw him some on the Sorber tape. So To me, he seems like a guy who, I don't know if he has a bankable skill in the NBA, but he
Yeah,
seems pretty long defensive guard. So,
yeah, I mean, I worry about these late breakout older players. You know, he turns 24, I think, pretty soon. I think he's like 23.9. His defense is really solid. I'm a big fan of his ability to create havoc off the ball, like high steal rate guy pretty much every year the last couple years. He had some interesting, I don't know if you remember him at like Texas Tech or TCU. I remember some interesting like flashes way back in the day. PV had some kind of flashes and did some stuff. I mean, it's a fine swing. Like it's a, if he shoots wings swing, right? It's like if PV can, you know, he shot the ball well this year. But this was, you know, we look at, so this year he shot 40% from three. Last year he shot 31, then 26, then 18, then 0. So it's a pretty massive jump. But man, yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I mean, it's the 40th pick. You know, I feel like at this point, it's hard for me to really be like, these picks like, oh, this pick sucks. Like, it's a second round pick in the 40s. But yeah,
so
I don't have any.
One player who's currently on the board, still available, who you think could carve out a good NBA career, and what I think is a thin draft, just because of the NIL stuff everyone knows about, who would you take as, like, you know, you think that this guy has the best chance to carve out a good career?
I think I'm going to stay true to my board and say Javon Small. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's underrated. Mentioned this before, but friend of the program, Joe Holbert, wrote a really good in-depth piece on Small, and I love his off-ball game. Like, such a smart guy, like shaking off the ball, creating space. Obviously, a super efficient shooter. Just like, I think projects as like a 3-and-D plus point guard who I could see sticking around. I think he has a lot of that's like the easy comparison, because like Deuce McBride was a West Virginia guy. They're definitely different, but like, you know, Deuce has carved a role as a defense first on ball guy with some shot making. I know they're different. I'd probably go Javon Small, but you know, I'll stay true to my board and say Javon, Jameer, or Kobe Brea. What about you though?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like, I don't have a ton of conviction in anyone, but tempted to get on the Amari Williams bandwagon just because, you know, he's a monster rebounder. I love his passing. And, you know, every year I do this story before March Madness where I rank the 50 best players in March Madness. I've been doing this story for legitimately like 12 years or something. And I was thinking about Kentucky this year. I'm like, who's Kentucky's best player? Is it Owe? Is it Brea? Is it? And I settled on Amari Williams, who I think I ranked as like the 35th best player in March Madness. Just going back, researching that list and watching him, I was just really impressed with the fact that he just like, it's very physical. And then he's also pretty smart. I like that combo. And I just wrote about this.
Yeah, he probably was the best. I feel like that was very much like a sum of its parts team. Yeah, I'd say probably him, or maybe Owe was just like, so I feel like Owe really kind of turned it on at the end of the year, and his offense was really picking it up. So maybe it was him by the end of the year. But yeah, I think it's probably him or Amari Williams at that point.
Yeah, Amari was coming on good at the end of the year too. So very excited to watch this Kentucky team. Ben, my one of my editors just made me publish my 2026 draft board before I was really done with it. I was going to publish it tomorrow at some point, but they're like, it'll get more interest now. So
maybe I should post the 2026 board tomorrow then. Take your editor's advice.
I'm already hijacking the conversation, but I want to ask you, Ben, what do you think about Cam Williams, Kentucky next year?
Love him.
Transfer from Tulane, I believe.
Yeah, huge fan.
I got him as the last pick in my first round mock draft for 2026.
I think I had it in my first round whenever the last time I did a 2026 board was. He's one of those guys who like immediately popped to me on like Bartorvik queries after 8 games, and you just look up freshmen and like steal rate and threes and, you know, assist to turnover ratio. But yeah, I really like him. He's got a little bit of ball skills. He's a great movement shooter. I'm a big fan of his. I really like Cam Williams. I love that shout out. He's super underrated. I think he's going to get real draft buzz next year. And like that Mark Pope system gets everybody right. Like everybody had a career year this year on that Kentucky team. And I don't think that's an accident, right? Like I did this analysis early in the year. I think legitimately every single one of their players had like a very significant assist to turnover rate jump, which is kind of hilarious. Like every single one of them.
Wow. Dude, I panned that hire. I was not optimistic. I'm like, they're just hiring him because he played under Patino and they struck out on Scott Drew and everyone else. This is a bad hire by Kentucky. He's phenomenal.
He's unbelievable.
He just immediately proved me so wrong right away. So I'm always happy when that happens, you know? And yeah, I had such a soft spot for Calipari over the years. Like I had just been writing about Calipari for a decade, basically. So the fact that they like pushed Calipari out, I was like, you know, it could get a lot worse than Calipari. I remember the Billy Gillespie era. Ben, you were probably in diapers when Billy Gillespie was.
No clue who that person is. Kobe Brea to Phoenix. That's fun.
Yeah, I do. Great pick. I mean, I like it. Phoenix is killing it.
I have a Kobe Brea graphic. Let's go. Kobe Brea. I mean, he's not the best shooting prospect in the draft because he's older. He's the best pure shooter in the draft. And I don't think that's particularly close. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
I agree with it. Yeah, he's sick, dude. I mean, there's a reason why every team college hoops wanted him last year, right? In the transfer portal coming out of Dayton, he had all the big spenders, you know, bidding for him, and Kentucky won, and he was good. He was really good for him.
Really, really good. I mean, his shooting numbers are really silly. And like usually I'm kind of out on these like one-dimensional older wing shooters, but Brea is such a good shooter. Like this year he shot 43% on 11 threes per 100. Last year he shot 50% on 13, 37% on 12 threes, 42% on 12 threes, 36% on 8 threes as a freshman. Like his career shooting numbers, 691 attempts, 44.1%. Like what the fuck? And he's also just like an incredible off dribble shooter. He can shoot obviously crazy shooting off screens, and he's got like a little passing juice as well. Like he can, you know, do some basic, like he comes off a dribble, hands off, two defenders go to him, he hits the roll man, he kicks it out, and I think that's a pretty valuable skill, honestly. But Brea is awesome. I love
just the fact that he's not small. You know, it's like he probably has some potential if you could beef him up a little bit. I just noticed the chat because I was staring at the private chat. So I just noticed the chat. Love your chat. Brea has Joe Wieskamp vibes. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is Duncan Robinson a good comp? Could be. Yeah, I kind of like that one. Yeah.
That's the comparison on the screen. I mean, I think that's, you know, shout out Wayne Ellington. That's another like shooting specialist-y kind of name that popped into my head. But yeah, I think that's the vision for if Brea's going to make the league, it's going to be because he is one of the best shooters on the wing in the entire NBA, and he has enough feel to, you know, make guys pay. And like, he is a very poor athlete. I think some of the worst physical tools. I'm going to quickly mute and let you talk because there are gardeners very close to my window.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I just liked Brea, and I thought he had a good year. Great shooting prospect, as you said. Who else should we talk about? Chat, you want to give me any guys to talk about, and we can go through it? You know, I'm writing an article tomorrow on the winners and losers of the draft. You know, it's just one of those things you have to do when you work in media. So yeah, I was trying to think.
I did one of those last night. Yep.
Do the Jazz deserve to be on the winners? I had Ace number 9 on my board. They get him at number 5. I gave that grade a B, or that pick a B grade. And then they got Clayton. I kind of think Clayton's dope. I want to talk myself with Walter Clayton.
I see. So in my column, okay, Kings take Reno. What do you think about Reno, Ricky?
I wanted to like him, but the more I really watched him, the less I liked him. Mostly because I don't like bigs who I just don't trust defensively.
I agree.
And yeah, the stretch 5 stuff is sick. I think he's got a generally high floor, maybe, but like, I don't know if Luka Garza didn't make it. Is this guy going to make it?
Right. I mean, first of all, I want to take a quick look at the second comparison I have for him on that sheet.
What is it? Is it Garza?
No.
Oh, Bull. Bull. I was the president of the Bull fan fan club, and
I love him. I loved him too. I mean, but like again, I think the best thing Bull does in the league is like his fluidity as a driver, like in straight lines for that size, is still crazy. He can't really do much after he drives, but like always had that. And he also has a similarly like long looping release. One of my other worries with Reno is he was like godly efficient this year on unguarded catch and shoots and shot under 30% from three unguarded catch and shoots. And like I think that checks with his his shot release because he has like the chucks it back over his head, kind of like takes him a second to get it up. Someone said best Australian available: Rocco, Proctor, or Toohey. Who's your favorite Australian available? As you can see by my board, Toohey is my answer. But
yeah, I haven't watched much Toohey, so I would just be lying if I talked about that. I did watch Rocco, like, throughout the season. He mostly had a pretty disappointing year, but he's 7'3", and I just feel like, I don't know, he's 7'3". He took some threes this year, right? And pretty decent rim protector with strength. So I kind of want to say him. I sort of want him for the Bulls at 55 if they're going to do a draft stash.
I loved Rocco last year, and I fell for his small sample size dominance. I had him like top 3 coming into the year just because he kind of like destroyed like the impact kind of basic modeling stuff I was doing. And he regressed significantly as a finisher. He regressed significantly as a shot blocker. He regressed significantly as a playmaker. It was tough. And, he's still 18. He's still one of the youngest players in the draft. I still really like him as a second round swing.
Yeah. And I like the call from the chat. The chat says he should have gone to the NCAA route. Like, yeah, dude, just imagine him anchoring Mizzou next year.
Oh my God. Don't get me started.
Ben, I'm going to jump off. Is that cool?
Cool. Of course, I can't force you to. We've had a great time. Thank you so much, Ricky. Anything you want to plug? I mean, you can plug whatever you want. You were here last night.
Nah, just sbnation.com, doing all my stuff there. Thanks to the chat. A couple people in the chat said they read the CMB article. That article had not that many people who clicked on it. So the fact that the chat read it really means a lot to me. It wasn't getting me traffic. But
sure, chat knows ball. I've been meaning to get to that piece. It's the time of the year where I have like 20 different pieces from people bookmarked.
Oh, I'm the same way. Yeah,
I have so much like post draft reading I want to do from like our friends and people who work in this space. So I like of stuff I need to read, and that's definitely on there. But huge shout out to Ricky for being a 2-day guest. Ricky's the best. Let's hope the Bulls have some semblance of normalcy this season.
Not going to happen. Thanks for having me.
See you, Ricky. Awesome. Big thanks to Ricky for joining the show. We got Washington at 43. OKC getting Javon Small would be great. Yeah, Rocco injuries were a bummer. Absolutely agree with that one. Yeah, I'm not crazy about Reno. It's an interesting swing. I might move this up to C because I like them getting like a stretch 5. Watkins might go. No way. Oh, no way. No way. Is it Watkins? If so, the Wizards keep cooking. Andrew, is it Goodman who said that again? My favorite, as you can see, my big board is on the left right here. So Javon Small and Jameer Watkins, who supposedly just got picked. So yeah, I am a huge Jameer Watkins fan. I think he's super underrated. One of the most underrated players in the draft to me, and I'm happy he went so high. He was like mid-late second on consensus boards. And I guess this is technically mid-second. So. Man, I love that. I absolutely love Watkins. Watkins is so good. He's taken on a much higher role or a much higher usage role than a lot of players. A- because they already have so many shooters. a higher usage role than a lot of players. I mean, Theo, yeah. I'm excited for Kareem Lopez. Matthew, what do you think of Kareem Lopez? I've pretty much only done pretty much like a couple games and highlight scouting and clip scouting of Kareem Jones. So, or not Kareem Jones, of Kareem Lopez. 44 OKC. Javon Small. This is the first draft where players aren't telling teams to draft, they can choose their destiny. I'm sure that's still happening, Vidi Jokic. I'm sure that's still happening to some extent. Okay, so we got the OKC Thunder at 44. Who are the Thunder going to take here? About to have another guest join the show. What do you think about stashing prospects? I feel like stashing prospects is often good. Stashing is often good just so they can keep the roster spot. Welcome, CT. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Ben. How's it going? Back for night 2.
Back for round 2. CT was on the stream last night to recap. Any thoughts on the draft so far?
Yeah, I think Theo was a pretty good value pick for the Lakers. They traded, I think, for pick 55 to get him.
They only used cash. It was 55 to 45 to 36, all with cash. That's so baller.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. It's funny to think because Calvin Booth traded Reggie Jackson and 3 second-round picks to get off his deal. So horrid asset management there, but good process for the Lakers.
Always Nuggets doomerism, man. It's
can't help it at this point. But I like the Theo pick. I thought the Hornets had a really good second round. Seion James, Caulk, Brener, and then Khan. Obviously in the top 3. I think they had a really nice draft. They've gotten criticized in the past couple of years for their drafts, but I thought this one they actually made out pretty well.
Wow. Someone said, Andrew in chat said OKC taking Brooks Barnheiser. Shout out our buddy Dan Ollinger, man. Northwestern legend.
Yep.
That's a very OKC pick, man. You have any thoughts on Barnheiser?
Pretty decent guard at Northwestern. Shout out to our guy Dan. I think it's a fine swing at this point. Definitely something where it's like I haven't seen him on too many mocks. I know the Nuggets worked him out not too long ago. So, but yeah, definitely seems like an OKC centric pick.
Yeah, I mean, I had him like right around the end of my
top 60-ish.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a really, really impressive defender. I really worry about his offense. BKR, I agree too. He's one of my favorite defensive players, but Barnheiser's a great shooter too. Not a great shooter, a great defender. He's one of the better defensive playmakers in the draft, which certainly fits with the Sam Presti Oklahoma City Thunder mold. He has like a funky kind of mid-range creation game where he's more like, pull-ups and step throughs. But yeah, I mean, 3.8 steal rate, 3.7 block rate. I think the only other guy with 3 steal, 3 block were Tuhi and maybe Theo.
Yep, Theo definitely on there.
Did Theo hit it? Yeah.
Yep.
Barnheiser's cool, man. I rock with this. I'm gonna give this a higher grade, even though they technically reached by my board. It's the second round. Who cares? I like this fit. I mean,
you got to swing for something in the second. At least you got to swing for at least one skill set that you think is going to hit. And the shooting, like you said, is definitely problematic. 26% this year, but I do think the defense, I do buy that, as well. So
Yeah, Barnhiser's a solid passer too. Just like worry how he accesses that without really any scoring threat at the NBA level. But it's a solid second round swing, no doubt. I mean, he's just a good kind of glue guy connector who I think has real defense. He's a sick athlete. I mean, OKC drafting a big guard / wing who's a sick athlete and creates turnovers on defense. Like, what else can you really do?
Yep.
Minnesota here at 45. Any thoughts on, or just kind of use this as a jumping off point? Who are your best players available on the board / who would you like for Minnesota here?
Yeah, for Minnesota, probably, Proctor maybe makes some sense, I think. As a guy who can play off of, Ant. He kind of scaled back a little bit more this year as, a guy playing off the ball. Maybe Salas would be a decent ad as well.
That's
another bench guard.
Yeah, you're a big Salas guy. You've been a Salas guy forever.
Yeah, the past 2 years been a Salas guy. I kind of lowered on him as the, past years went on, but I still think he can return like top 45-ish value in the class. So I don't think that's too outrageous.
Solid 3-and-D guard.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, probably either those two guys. I mean, Minnesota has, Dilly off their bench. They have Behringer they just picked as well. So I don't know how many more young guys they could add to the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I think this could be a stash guy. Could this be Markovich or Tuhi or I don't know. There's not really a lot of stash guys.
Conley likes his stashes.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be cool if this was Javon Small, just for our guy Joe.
Yep. Shout out to Joe.
Also the best player on my board.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I had Javon top 25 on my board. So it definitely would return, I think, first round value from my board.
Oh yeah.
How'd you think of the Cam Jones pick for your Pacers?
I loved it. I was so happy. That's gonna be a fun reaction clip to go back and look on. I feel like the Pacers never take guys I want. Actually, I take that back because in the second rounds, I like who they take. They get I like Ben Shepherd, I like Andrew Nemhard, but their first round picks sometimes aren't my favorite. But they took Tristan Newton last year. That's right. I wish he.
Right. I was a Newton guy last year.
Yeah, me too.
I think top 30.
I love Tristan Newton. I had him closer.
Yeah.
Closer.
He's actually on the Wolves. He's on the Wolves right now, Newton, as a two-way guy.
Oh man, yeah. Am I making up that he was briefly with Denver?
No, he was with the Pacers.
Right. Okay. So and then we cut him, and then he went to New Orleans. I don't know. Not New Orleans. Minnesota. I don't know why I thought he went to Denver before. That would be cool.
That was Trey Alexander was Denver's two-way guy.
Andrew, right. Andrew, who is getting all of these picks right. I'm sure you have great sources in the league. Says Rocco to Minnesota. He's big Rocco.
That's a typical Conley pick with his second round stash.
That is such a typical pick. But yeah, what do you think of Rocco?
Yeah, I think Rocco's a decent swing at this point in the draft. I would assume that he's probably going to be stashed. I don't think he's going to come over at the moment, but decent swing. I'm not really kind of ambivalent on it.
I love Rocco.
Yeah.
I hope he's good. He's still super young. I think this is good value for him. He's obviously fallen a lot, and he hasn't done. This is like a B plus. I think I'll give this a B plus. I really like this. I mean, I think they're really
he's just absurdly tall. 7'3".
Gigantic dude. The Wolves made it very clear yesterday and today that they are done messing around in the front court, and they want long-term depth there. Obviously, Naz free agent.
Yep.
But I like that a lot for Wolves. I like that a lot for the Wolves, not the Bulls. It says Bulls on TV. They really, I know everybody said this, but it is really absurd that they haven't fixed the hat thing.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
It feels like such an easy fix. It's like this doesn't really take much.
I guess because some of the trades weren't finalized yet due to some of the rules.
Right. I guess technically the trades aren't technically Thomas, sorry, buddy. Unfortunately, Rocco is not joining the Bulls down under. Someone said, who is the worst player in this draft that you'd take over Anthony Bennett as the player he was going into the 2013? I have no idea, man. I mean, I did a throwback scouting video on him as like
I remember seeing that. Yeah,
he was not that great. I guess I'd have him in like my mid first rounds. Like,
yeah, probably around there.
I don't know. Would you take like? I don't know. Would you rather have Anthony Bennett or
Hanson Yang?
I'd probably take him over Yang actually. Oh man, I don't know. That's what I feel like it's just impossible without Hines. With the Hines, like I feel like it's impossible to really a Senge or Anthony Bennett. Probably a Senge.
Senge. Yeah.
Yakuchonis over Bennett? Yeah, because I had Yakuchonis in the top 10 for sure. This is a hilarious conversation.
Yeah, I would honestly, with Rocco, I'm not sure he's eventually going to come over. Probably play summer league, I think, but
yeah, absolutely gonna play summer league.
He's just extremely raw at the moment. He's going to need some more development.
Bulls taking Amari Williams. That is an interesting pick. I like that.
Yeah. I actually wanted him for Denver on the two-way contract. I thought he would have helped him out a little bit, as a third big. But I'm pretty high on Amari. He had a against top 50 comp. I know he's had pretty good assist turnover ratio. Pretty good as a hub as well. He really passed the ball for a big, which is pretty interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good center depth for the Celtics. Makes sense. He's a really interesting playmaker. I moved him down late just because I what do you think of his defense? I think
his defense at times the
defense.
Yeah, I think the motor sometimes is either hit or miss. Just from watching, some game. I actually watched a couple of games at Fizz toward the end of the cycle.
His mobility
seems like his motor is like on and off. Yeah, he can't really get off the ground as high as I thought. Like he's not a super athlete or anything. Maybe he's a fine athlete, but pretty good rebounder as well. But I think the athleticism at times, the motor especially, could be hot and cold.
Non-zero chance he starts at center. He's going to be the starting. I mean, I like it. I mean, I think it's like B minus. I mean, I had him. This is like just I worry a bit about Amari's defense as a bit of a not shorter. I mean, what he's like. I'm not remembering his. I was going to say I'm not remembering his exact measurements, but I like it as a swing, as like a ball skillsy, passing-y big man. At the stage of the Celtics. ESPN says 7 feet. I don't think he's 7 feet without shoes.
I think more like 6'10", 6'11".
I thought so. I'm looking up right now. He is. Wait, he wasn't a combine guy. Never mind.
Yeah, I think he was at the G League camp, and then he didn't get an invite to the regular combine.
That's a bummer. I would have liked that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't remember these G League camp. Somebody, I'm sure, like Mikey V has the measurements posted somewhere, but I'll find him eventually. But yeah, I like it. I'm very intrigued by Amari Williams. He's got a super long wingspan. That is evident.
Right.
One said, side note, do you think Cat is 7 feet? I'm a town 6'10" truther. I mean, I feel like he might be like 6'11" is kind of my.
He's probably 6'11", yeah.
Probably 6'11". Yeah, I mean, not really. Not really. So there's so much fudging of height overall. Was it would I rather draft Jonte Porter or Carter Bryant? I love Jonte as a prospect.
I had Jonte high on my board when he was.
I think I had him in like my top 5. Of top 5 to 7 in 2019, which was the first cycle I really made like a concrete board from. I mean, look, if you tell me that, assuming we don't have the knowledge of hindsight that Jonte Porter is going to be a gambling scandal guy, what we know, I think I'll probably take Carter Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, he was figuring it out with the Raptors until that incident happened, but it's he had a lot of injury issues.
Not
as well.
Thomas. Jonte had incredible basketball IQ and feel on the court, but maybe his off-court real life feel and IQ
Not the best.
Seems a little questionable based on,
Yeah.
certainly a questionable off-court decision maker.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like Williams. You have his measurement 6'11" without shoes. So I guess then he is 7 foot with shoes. Then 7'6" wingspan. I mean, it sounds about right.
Yeah, that checks out. I like Jamal. Yeah, I like Amari. Let's see. There's a lot of. I'm sure Milwaukee's going to take someone horrible here.
Someone called Amari Williams the British Jokic in my mentions the other day.
We got British Jokic. We got Chinese Jokic. As a Raptors fan, I'm disgusted with him and that whole family.
That was heinous. When I saw that on the timeline about the someone from the Nuggets that Fisher tweeted out about Yang with the Jokic comp, I was like, oh man, we can't be doing that.
Okay, I was wrong. The Bucks took Markovich. Great pick.
Oh wow. Okay.
Great pick. Second best player on the board by my evaluation. Thoughts on Markovich, CT?
Yeah, I think decent swing again. I think he's probably going to be a stash.
Yes.
I think that's really for a lot of these guys who are, from Europe at this point, they're going to be stashes. But I mean, decent output, like 18 points a game, 9 rebounds. I think he was like first team in the basketball league in Serbia. So impressive overseas resume.
Someone said Markovich or Duricic right now. I think I was a little higher on Duricic as a prospect.
Me too. Yeah.
I think I'd probably did Duricic have injury stuff recently? Am I making that up?
No, I think he had something like that happen.
Oh, yeah,
something with his leg.
He broke his foot in summer league. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe at that point, I'm thinking like I'd rather have Markovich just for that certainty, but like, yes, that's what I thought. Fantasy, you're absolutely right that people are like, if you're ranking a guy in the 40s, you should be comparing him to a guy who's like not a star. I so agree that one of the biggest problems with comparison like ecosystem is like proportional comparisons. That's so true. Who are my best available? My board is right here. All of the players in color are still on the board. So Javon Small is the only guy left that I have a true first round grade on. Tuhi, Shulga, Vlad Golden, Curtis Jones, John Tanji, Will Richard are my last quote unquote like draftable guys.
Yeah, I like Will Richard.
Yeah, you're a big Will Richard guy.
Yep.
CT.
Yep, I had him top 45-ish around there. I think in an hour role, you could probably carve out, a decent, like end of bench role.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting 3-and-D, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I honestly don't love the Bucks as a landing spot for Markovich, just because like they're the Bucks. But in terms of value, like, and I'm surprised they didn't go for someone defensive.
Right.
Just because they so badly need that. Markovich is the Serbian Jokic. Wait a second.
That's 3 guys from the draft that's been comped to Jokic.
Shulga would be awesome in Memphis. I agree with you, Alex. Did you like Shulga, CT?
Yeah, I like Shulga. I had him at I think around 39 on my board.
Oh, there's Javon Small.
Okay.
Bang.
Yep. Where's he going? Memphis? Of course he's going to Memphis.
Down. Congrats, Joe.
Yep.
Huge.
Yeah, Joe had a nice piece on Small the other day.
Easy. That's awesome. I mean, I adore that for him. I adore Javon Small. One of my favorite underrated guys in the draft. Incredibly good ball handler. Great feel off the ball. Pesky, like 3-and-D-ish point guard.
Yep.
There's my last first round grade off the board. So team's doing generally well, picking the guys who I think are good this year, at least for the most part. Thoughts on Javon? Anything else? Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like Javon. I think he actually has some decent off ball capabilities as well, aside from just the on ball game. So I think he could play beside a bigger creator if need be. But I was watching him against Kansas the other day, and he was just completely dicing up Dickinson in the pick and roll. It was the funniest thing at the beginning of the game that I was watching. But
he had
yeah,
some
I think
dominant games this year. Like his game,
yeah,
what was it? I'll find the exact game. I don't want to. Yeah, well, it was February 5th against TCU was one of the best games of any prospect. He destroyed that team.
Mm-hmm.
Proctor, Australian Kyrie, absolutely. I agree with you. Yep. Someone said who are both of your biggest misses on international prospects? Mine is Leandro Bolmaro. I was also super high on Bolmaro. I
remember that
top 20. I love Bolmaro. He was a good lesson for me about how much scoring really matters for perimeter.
Right. Because he was more pass first, and that's something I learned as well.
Yeah, the case with him was just like incredible ball handler and passer and defender at 6'7", but just couldn't score to save his life.
Yep, the game's about a bucket. But yeah, probably my biggest miss in the international game was that's a tough one. I don't want to say Hazonia, maybe Dragon Bender. I didn't have him like high enough, but I mean, I thought he'd be way better than what he eventually played himself out of the league, but.
Insane. Cavs on the board. Pick is in.
This picks are going quick.
A couple of people are saying Proctor, which would definitely be good value by the big board at this point. I'm not a Proctor guy. I'm a little skeptical of him, unfortunately, but I feel like most people, I'm kind of like the odd man out here in the Proctor, the Proctor opinion. So I could definitely be wrong, but assuming this is Proctor, CT, you like Proctor, right?
I like Proctor, yeah. I had him in like the 45-50 range. Nothing too crazy, but he kind of scaled back this year. Came in as a point guard. Then he started playing more off the ball. Pretty good shooter this year, but I think as we've seen, if the shot isn't going down, what else can he really bring to the table? He's a decent point of attack defender as well, but I think he was a bit overrated on that end, by most people. But I think he'd be a fine pick at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I feel like, as I've said a couple times when people ask about Proctor, like these jack of all trades, master of none college role players kind of scare me. Just because I feel like you really need to have like the standout skill to make it like that in the NBA. But yeah, I mean, this is man, I love that Javon Small pick. Okay, okay, it is Proctor.
Proctor did go.
Proctor official. Yeah, I had Proctor fairly low on my board. Not the lowest player drafted today. My lowest ranked player drafted today was Elijah Martin. What did you think of Elijah Martin, CT? I was surprised to see him go that high.
Yeah, I had Elijah. I think I had him like around 60-ish or around there. So
okay, so yeah, still definitely higher than your board for sure.
Yeah. I think he's fine. Definitely a little bit undersized. I think he's just a pretty good college player, but a winner. I think that counts for something.
For sure.
Decent shooter, but yeah, I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
tough at a guy that size. It's just it's kind of hard.
Like the locker room presence type of guy. I mean, yeah, again, 40 or lower, hard to actually, really criticize these guys. BKR, I had Jaden Springer in the top 5, dog. I had
Springer high too. Yeah,
I love the Jaden Springer. Do I think the Cavs are doing this as a safety if they can't re-sign Ty Jerome? Possibly, combo-ish guard. But yeah, he's solid. Is there Rocco's a top 5 pick? Thanks for the $5, John. Really appreciate it. You had Rocco as a top 5 pick video. What happened to his stock? He had a very bad next season in the NBL and had injuries. That's the unfortunate truth, was he couldn't carry over his small sample dominance to, a higher minute role. He couldn't earn that role. And I think that was unfortunately a big problem, right? And that I think unfortunately ended up tanking his stock for me and just, in general for a lot of people. But yeah, I still think Rocco is a value for sure. At the stage where they got him, right? So, but I like Rocco.
I think so.
I am a big I am a big Rocco fan. I love him. I thought Kolek was like a non-prospect or like was, low in my top 60. What do you think of Kolek, CT? I feel like were you a Kolek guy?
Not really. I think I had him in the 40s around there. I was skeptical about some of his creation ability.
Yeah.
He was very, very screen dependent.
Kolek. I'll look at my book. I'll look right now.
Good shooter, but I had some defensive concerns as well.
I had him 68th, maybe a little low, but someone said, "Is there a player you really didn't like that panned out to be good?" Oh, so many, probably.
A ton, yeah.
Who comes to mind as a player I thought sucked? I think the lowest ranked, like I remember I had Isaiah Stewart in the
40s, I think, yeah. Yep.
Spotted Sausage. You can follow CT. His Twitter is on the screen right there, just like all of our other guests. Would highly recommend you go support everyone who has and will be on the show. Only good people. Big. I was so low on Isaiah Stewart. I was like, there's no way this short center who can't do anything on offense makes in the league. And it's like, he's actually an incredible defender, and the zone and the Mike Hopkins zone screwed him over.
Just like McDaniels.
Yes, absolutely. Two guys, and we are about to be joined by another one of our guests. Let me rearrange this real quick. Tony Pesta to talk Cleveland Cavaliers. They just made their only pick of the night. Tony, how's it going?
What's going on? It's good to be here. I'm excited. Listen, as I say all the time on my show, I know nothing about the NBA draft. Maybe if the Cavs are picking like in the lottery, I'll kind of lock in for a month and become a draft sicko. But at 49, I have no idea who's available, who to look for. So that's why I talked to Ben, someone who knows what he's talking about, to tell me what do you think of this Cavs pick? Is this good? I feel like so far it looks like Cavs fans seem to be somewhat happy with this.
I feel like I'm kind of the odd man out because I had Proctor pretty low. CT likes Proctor. Most people like Proctor. Seems like a passable low rotation combo guard. But the thing people in the chat were speculating, like, is this a potential Ty Jerome replacement contingency plan? And you have any thoughts, Tony, on, by the way, people who don't know, Tony covers the Cavs. What, are you at Fear the Sword still?
Yeah, I'm with Fear the Sword at SB Nation. So, and I do my own podcast on YouTube. I've had Ben on a bunch of times.
We've talked Cavs. I've adopted the Cavs as one of my teams. I do love the Cleveland Cavaliers. I love this iteration and this, current core of the Cavs, despite the fact that my Pacers had to put an end to that one.
I still have nightmares.
I forgot about that.
I haven't. Game 2 will scar me forever, man. But hey, it is what it is. My favorite thing from Game 2, if I have anything that I enjoyed, is I was streaming it live on playback, and I checked my phone after, and I had 2 texts from Ben. The first one is probably I would guess there's probably about a minute left in the game. He says, "Oh, sad for the Pacers, happy for the Cavs though. Looks like they figured it out." And then like 2 minutes later, it just says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I was like, yeah, that's pretty much how all of us felt.
Wait, I gotta go.
Ben was dooming.
I was so happy. There was like 50 seconds left. They're up by 7. I'm like, let's go. Tied 1-1 going to Indiana. We're still in this. But no, I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about it. But Pacers, what a run.
At 6:37 PST on May 6th during Game 2, I said, happy for the Cavs. Wanted us to win, but I want the Cavs haters to be wrong. And then I said at 6:48 p.m., I'm so sorry.
The reverse jinx. He had to pull it off.
Kobe Sanders went to the Clip. Any thoughts on Kobe Sanders? I love Kobe Sanders. I don't know if you have any Kobe Sanders thoughts, CT.
Yeah, I think it's a decent swing at this point. 6'7", from Nevada. I think it's a pretty decent swing at this point. I think
he's better than their pick at 31. I think. What do you say? So 50 and 51 are Clippers now.
They picked Fleming at 31.
No, that was the Suns.
Oh, that was the Suns, right?
Yeah, I love Can't believe the Suns asked for. Okay, Tony, do you think there's any validity to like the Suns Garland trade rumors? Like,
it sounds like no. It sounds like so. There was that kind of throwaway comment from KOC, which, in all honesty, it kind of sounded like KOC wasn't even confirming it really. If you listen to the clip, he kind of just mentioned it in passing. He's like, "Oh well, I heard they proposed or they included Darius Garland in the deal," and then Brian Windhorst, the GOAT, shout out to Cavs Corner. He came through on ESPN Cleveland, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and basically shot it down and said it was actually the other way around. Phoenix, this is what I remember from what Wendy said. Phoenix asked about Darius Garland for Kevin Durant. The Cavs said, maybe we'll do that if you throw in like a first round pick or something. And then it never really got any further from that. There was no like official, hey, we're trying to trade Darius Garland. The Cavs are looking at options from everything that I can tell. Like they're listening to calls. They're kind of probing the league to see, but they're not actively trying to trade Darius Garland. And as someone who covers the Cavs and is a big believer in this core, I don't think they should feel like they need to trade any one of the core, whether it's Garland or Allen. I think Allen is the more likely one to be traded, but I think it's the most likely thing is them just running it back, in my opinion, because unfortunately, because of all the injuries, the Eastern Conference is completely wide open right now. Yep. So on one hand, that could incentivize you to try to go all in and maximize this window. But on the other, it's like, hey, we're already, I know they went out in 5 games to the Pacers, but you could at least explain some of that with the injuries. If you're looking at the Cavs right now, if you run it back, you stay healthy, and you actually hit your 3-point shots in the playoffs, you could make it to the finals. Like there's no one really standing in front of you right now. So that, in my opinion, is why you have to be really careful with how you navigate the summer. You don't want to go trading Darius Garland or Jared Allen and having it blow up in your face, because then you just wasted a prime opportunity to make a finals run. So do I think that they would have traded Darius Garland for Kevin Durant? I'm happy I don't even have to consider it, honestly, because yes, if the Cavs had Kevin Durant, that probably maximizes your chance at a title like next year or this year. But like Darius Garland could be really good for another 10 years, right? I know it's impossible to keep a team together that long in the NBA, but it's just such a short-sighted move that, again, like, listen, if they got Kevin Durant, I'm not going to complain too much, but I just don't think the Cavs have their backs to the wall, need to make a move like that. So I'm not surprised that it didn't go very far. And from what it sounded like too, I don't think Kevin Durant wanted to come to Cleveland. I don't think he would have extended in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Knicks take Mohamed Diawara. I actually like Diawara. Interesting flyer to me, like 6'8" athlete with really great ball skills. I like it as like a stash pick for the Knicks and trading back 1 pick. I wanted to get a quick Kobe Sanders stat off. This is more so earlier, but before the draft, I looked at players' assist to turnover ratio and finishing at the rim and how that changed in the half court compared to overall. Kobe Sanders is the only player in this draft who was more efficient and had a higher assist to turnover ratio in the half court than in transition. I feel like that's weird, and I don't know why. I don't have an explanation for that, but that's Kobe Sanders. I'm a fan of Kobe. I liked Kobe. Really interesting, like shot making, processing wing, who's not a great athlete. And yeah, Diawara, just like a solid rotation. Saying Tuhi to the Warriors, that would be great. I love Tuhi.
Yeah, I know Diawara's efficiency he was pretty inefficient this year in Colette.
He's definitely just like a toolsy athletic wing 2-way bet. I think he showed some interesting stuff on the ball, like some fluidity as a handler. I've seen him make a couple like live dribble passes, but nothing particularly crazy. Tuhi here, that's a value. That's a great value. I love me some Alex Tuhi. Tuhi, just like a I'm giving it like an A-. I love Tuhi. He was my best player available. Okay, yeah. So that's the best player available on my board gone. Really impressive defensive player. One of the only players in the draft with, I think, steal and block rates above 3%, as we've been talking to, needs a lot of, his offensive game is kind of like, what if George Niang wasn't really a shooter?
Sounds awful. Sounds absolutely awful.
He's a sick defender, though. He's an incredible defensive player. And he's bigger than Niang, but I'm just thinking like, funky, crafty scorer who, doesn't really have much athletic juice, but he's got some like wonky footwork, and he'll like decelerate and drop his shoulder into a guy. Man,
He was just traded, right, recently, Niang?
yeah. Who's Niang on? He went.
He's on the Celtics now. He was in the Kristaps trade. So, hey man, listen, I enjoyed the Niang experience until I didn't. I tried really hard to buy into it. He can be helpful during the regular season. And I know the Celtics, their primary goal was just, cutting costs, saving money. It's going to be a down year for them anyway. He's a pretty durable guy, all things considered. And again, in the regular season, he can be very helpful. It's when you get to the postseason where you're going to be pulling your hair out and just being like, oh my God, he literally can't defend anybody. He's getting backdoor cut. He's getting torched on an island. So shout out Bang Bang Niang. Shout out to the minivan. I think he still has, I don't know if this has been updated. Doesn't he have like the most wins of the decade so far in the regular season? I don't know if you've seen the stat. Because he was on the Donovan Mitchell Jazz teams and the Cavs.
More memberships. Huge thank you. I don't really know how the membership thing works on YouTube, but I see people showing love, and I really appreciate it. But this George Niang thing.
Yeah, no, I think he has the most wins in the regular season since 2020 or something like that. He's just a winner. Everywhere he goes, he brings that winning culture. He's a good locker room guy, though, in all things, in all seriousness.
He's a good shit talker, too.
Yeah. That interview when he went off on Simmons. Remember when he sat out and he was like criticizing him that he was playing?
No, I love when Paolo was trying to shit talk him. He was like,
"Oh, it's so good."
Gabriel said thoughts on 2026 class and who the Hawks could get with the pick they just got. I mean, the Hawks trade down maybe could, obviously you want to get into the top 3 because Cam Boozer, AJ DeBansa.
That was a fantastic trade by them yesterday.
Yo, Ahmed, how long have you been sitting here?
Ahmed, you're on mute.
I think you're muted, buddy. Anyways, as Ahmed, I definitely did not, because definitely did not see your dude. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that spotted sausage, but Ahmed, I unfortunately cannot hear you. We're just talking about your Hawks, so great timing. Oh,
there it is.
There it is. I think.
What's up, Ahmed?
I think now his mic is still
went out.
We're so close.
Okay.
There we go.
That has to be it.
Thanks, Ahmed. I totally did not see that you joined because we have so many people here, and I don't know how this thing works. That was totally my bad.
No, you're good.
At Slip the Screen, great draft guy, high school guy. How's it going, man?
Good, dude. Good. I was honestly cool just like listening to y'all. I heard Hawks in next year's draft, and I was like, dude, I gotta hop in.
You gotta be like, wait a second. So yeah, why don't you take that? I mean, Ahmed, you're a Hawks fan. I know you, as every Hawks fan, I'm sure was very happy about the trade down. So like, what do you think about that? And then you just thought also John Tanji to the Jazz. I love that.
I like that pick.
Love Tanji. That's Midwest heritage and Mizzou legend right there. John Tanji. But yeah, thoughts on the 2026 draft, Ahmed, and what you're.
I think it'd be hard to miss. It really would be hard for the Hawks to mess it up if we end up getting a lottery pick. If assuming the Pelicans don't make the massive leap. I don't know. They're such a weird. I don't know what the Pelicans are going to be or what they're going to do this next season. But ideal player. At this stage, dude, you don't like Cool Pete, do you? Ben?
Not really, but I'm definitely not really. But I am very I don't generally keep that much conviction with my high school evaluations.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. I think, and he's like, what if Jalen Johnson was a little better defensively and had a little more shooting potential? I think he's they're very similar players. They're probably, I don't know about a better passer, but they're kind of in that same vein. So I think that'd be awesome. They're not a lot of good bigs, and obviously a rim running big would be sick, but I don't think that's really in the cards for us.
There are none of those guys next year.
It's a terrible big class.
Who is even the best big in 2026?
I would have said Pat Ngongba, but I think he got hurt. Like
Again?
Yeah, I think it was another foot injury, which is really sad because he's a great player.
I love.
hate
I'm a
to
big
see
fan of Gong, but let's see.
Yeah.
Who do I have as my best big in 2026? Maybe Moreno. I mean, like
that's kind of like the
like Chris Sinak there's like a gigantic.
I'm not. At least actually, I wouldn't say that.
I don't hate Sinak. I mean, I'm like I'm
not that high on Sinak. I think his team. I think Tugler's like better, but he's not.
Oh yeah, you like Tugler more than his parents do, probably.
That's the Tugler guy.
The Pacers just took a person that I've never heard of. I can't believe this.
Who is it?
Halon Peter.
Oh yeah, for Liberty. Yeah, he's a big stats guys love him.
Is he okay? Can you give me a rundown? Because I'm actually upset that somebody not in my top 100 got picked already.
Great finisher. I mean, he's a 6'4" wing essentially. Like I could see him being like effectively like Ben Shepherd. I feel like if Ben Shepherd shooting was advertised, I really wanted y'all to take it out at Richmond. I think that would have been sweet.
Ooh,
yeah.
6'4". You said 6'4", like wing. Maybe some Terry Taylor in there.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything on the ball. Just he hits. He's pretty athletic. Hits a lot of spot ups. I think he was like 75% at the rim, like finishing at the rim on the volume. But yeah,
I'll let you give the grade here, Ahmed. What's our grade for Talon Peter?
I'm gonna give it a C plus, just or B minus, I guess, because it's the 54th pick. But
B minus. I'll take it. I'll take the
Kadari Richmond was on the board, man.
Honestly,
we need Kadari.
I'm gonna have some homework because it's been a long time since the Pacers have drafted someone I just like have not watched.
Yeah, he came on. I think he's like the litmus test if you've spent too much time on Bart. Because it's like that's a guy that if you're just running a ton of queries, he's gonna pop up.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, look, I'm so stoked they took Cam Jones. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, that was
a great pick. That was great pick.
That was really great.
I'm so stoked they took Cam Jones. That was just
I had Cam in my top 30.
Yeah, me too. Yep, me too. I was a huge Cam Jones fan. I love him as just like a depth piece for the guard room.
Yeah, where are we at with the Pacers, man? I mean, I don't want to kind of steer the conversation away from the draft.
Go for it.
This next season, what do you want to see?
Helio Nemhard.
Yeah, we could.
Dog, let's get some Helio Mather in
or not.
Oh man, I mean, in my heart, I'm like, can we get into the Boozer Peterson advance to the sweepstakes? We got our pick back, but the Pacers are not going to be bad enough to get up there, unfortunately. Like, I mean, Tony, Cavs are probably the East. I'd say clear East favorites at this point, right? Like, who else?
I feel like, yeah, I mean, I'm a little biased. I would take the Cavs as the favorites, but like Orlando could make some noise. New York, maybe year two, looks a little more put together. They are the Cavs are the betting odds favorite. I don't know what the gap is, but I know I had to tweet out that propaganda because Cavs fans, it's funny. People who aren't Cavs fans seem to be generally kind of high on the Cavs. They're like, yeah, they're probably the favorites. Cavs fans are like, oh my God, we're horrible. We need to trade everybody. Like there's a decent amount of the Cavs fan base that is just their hair is on fire. Everyone's freaking out. I think it's just a loud minority, but it feels like so many Cavs fans feel way worse about the team than the national media does, which is really interesting because it's usually kind of the opposite.
Someone said the James Borrego Knicks.
Hey man, I mean, like they could be a good regular season team. I think Orlando would be a team to watch, but like, there's no reason. Again, I'm a little bit biased, but there's no reason why the Cavs shouldn't be able to make it to the finals this year if they're healthy.
You're right,
and that puts a lot of pressure on them. But it's time to prove something. You know what I mean? I'm someone who's pretty optimistic about the Cavs, but this will be year 4, I think, of the Mobley Mitchell stuff. I'm not advocating for blowing it up anytime soon, but if we run into another wall, that's when you really have to start thinking about mixing up Darius Garland or Jared Allen. Right now, I'm pretty much fine running it back. Like, listen, I know they went out sad, but they won 64 games. And right now, you're seeing a lot of Cavs fans saying they don't care.
Basketball history.
Literally. I mean, they actually did. That was insane. what you guys did to us in Game 4 was unspeakable. I mean, Game 2 was the heartbreaker, but Game 4, you guys won
so
by like
crazy.
a million
Ben
points.
Mathurin like punched DeAndre Hunter in the dick, and then he went out, and then he just and then they went on like a 50-0 run. Cavs are going to be good. Ahmed, how are you feeling about your Hawks just for 2025, 2026? Like, obviously, I feel like we're feeling pretty good about the long term, about Salah, but like, what do you feel about where are we going next year with Atlanta? How high is this team getting? I think you're muted again.
We lost him.
Unfortunately. Maybe I don't know exactly what's going on here, but until Ahmed figures out the mic, CT, any thoughts? Maybe like unplug and plug because you did something and then there was a sound before and then it worked.
Maybe without the headphones. Maybe it's the headphones.
There we go. That was the sound. I don't know what that sound is, but I think it's gonna work now once you unmute.
Then I think a lot of people.
There you
There
go.
it is.
Yeah, I still think offensively, like they're going to struggle a good bit. I think like it's kind of not necessarily like the greatest fit in the front court. But, well, I mean, if pending Kristaps being healthy, I have no idea what to expect from Kristaps this next season. If he's healthy, I think that definitely changes the calculus of things. But I kind of assume it's going to be like a slower roll.
I like Jalen and KP.
Pretty good we should be able to make the playoffs probably, like without having to go through the play-in, the Trae Young Invitational, as I like to call it. But I think we should be. We also have a fat trade exception from the DeJounte move. I don't understand how the Pelicans managed to like lose both their first round picks, like give the Pacers and us their first round picks next year when they're.
We've talked plenty about the Pelicans asset management over the last couple of days, and it certainly is. Someone said I'm the only one in the chat says I'm the only person I saw anywhere that had Taylor on their board, so I feel smart. You are smart because you're smarter than me. I didn't even know who that was. Someone says Lachlan Olbrich to Chicago. Anyone? I think Tony, you sent me like a clip of him when we're like, any thoughts on this guy? And I'm like, I have not watched him. I don't. Ahmed or CT? Any thoughts on Lachlan Olbrich?
No, that's one of the dudes.
That's
kind of no.
That's a left field pick there.
I saw one video of him on Twitter, and he was linked to the Cavs. I was like, "Yo, this guy looks crazy!" Like, and of course, it's just a random Twitter video of like a tall dude dunking on someone in like the combine. But I was like, "Yo, this could be the steal of the draft right here." Obviously, I'm joking, but once Ben said he didn't know anything about him, I was like, guess that dream's dead.
I watched like one game of his and some highlights before the draft, just like to kind of get my bearings on him. He kind of gave me like Aussie Drew Eubanks kind of vibe, like 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" post. Got some nice touch, like some ability to handle. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a very strong take on Lachlan Olbrich. Certainly didn't pass my smell test, I guess. Like for some guys, I feel like obviously some players are more complicated. I feel like some players you can watch, and you're pretty quickly like, oh yeah, that's a guy. Whereas
Ben, you do have your board up, like people that are still available.
Yep, this is my board, Ahmed. Everyone colored is still on the board. Shulga, Golden, Jones, Richard, Johnson, Sears, Grill, Hunter, Lewis, Cardwell. What's up, though? Someone said Olbrich is Aussie Jokic with hops.
That's what I saw. I'm telling you that's what I saw. My first the 20-second clip I saw. I was like, this is the one. This is him. You got to get irrationally confident in a random draft prospect. That's part of the game,
That is part of the game.
Have to.
It's the most fun part.
Okay, yeah, you're 45% from three, 80%. Talon Peter shot 80% at the rim this year.
Oh, yeah, I knew it was something crazy. Yeah, it was all assisted. I mean, he is a wing.
This guy might be the GOAT.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, man. That's what you.
This guy actually might be the greatest player of all time. Wait, is he even on? He's not even on like any top 100s or anything I'm looking at. I'm like trying to find stuff on him, and nobody knows anything. But Man, good for him, man. Pacers legend. They always take a fun random guy like remember Alize Johnson? Like
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Alize Johnson was a beast.
Wasn't Terry Taylor a Pacer as well?
Yep.
Oh.
Exact same vibe. Just like 6'2" wing. Someone said move out of the way, Dylan Harper.
Yeah. I don't think he shot 80% at the rim. I don't think Dylan did.
He did not. I'll tell you, he did not. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say is this: is Dylan Harper wasn't shooting. Look, Dylan Harper did not have 22 dunks this year.
Can I just say the Ryan Nembhard? I don't know, the smoke. Yeah, I don't know what to call it, but speculating about a second round pick going really high and then him that not happening is just one of the more bizarre misses I've seen from like the.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
That just kind of came across my desk earlier.
It looked so. It felt so chalk that like he would be a Pacer at some point, but you know.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, do you think Nembhard's a good prospect, Ahmed or CT? I wasn't. Yeah. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in him as an NBA guy, unfortunately.
The height is a major roadblock.
The height, the scoring, like he's a sick passer, obviously. Yeah. But like, I would have been. If the Pacers took him at 38, I would have been a little disappointed. If the Pacers took him at 50 or whatever, I think I would have been happy.
I think this is where Kadari goes from Memphis. I think this is.
Ooh. Ahmed calling his shots.
I feel it. I feel it in my bones, man.
No, I believe Ryan Nembhard is significantly shorter than Andrew, right?
Yeah. Andrew's like 6'4", 6'5", right?
And Ryan's like 6 feet tall and
Ryan's 6 foot. Right? Yeah, he's way shorter.
Unfortunately,
I think it's going to be Manning or.
What'd you say?
I think it's going to be Chris Manning here or Richmond.
You're calling your shots, Chris. Yeah, I think
I'm like slowly hedging my bets. I'm just like including.
You're like it could be one of these 5.
Yeah, it could be one of these 6 guys.
Ahmed, who are I feel like I asked this to everyone who comes on. You know, except for you, Tony, if you'd like to answer. Who are your best players on the board left?
I mean, you already know how I feel about Kadari Richmond, but
there you go. I know you love Kadari.
Yeah, him, Manning, Matt Cleveland. I think
I'm as higher than
I feel like Matt Cleveland's destiny
on Kadari than me.
Run.
Will Richard to Memphis. Ooh.
Oh,
that's CT. Nice. That's your guy. Oh wait, no. Andrew said they trade. It's the Warriors. Is it the Warriors or is it Memphis? Do we know yet? Okay, it's the Warriors. Okay, I like Will Richard. I had him in the 40s.
I think he's better than Elijah.
Oh yes, I agree. Definitely, I agree. CT, you're a big Will Richard guy. I know you've been kind of, high on him for a while. Can you give us a little like pitch on Will Richard? What makes him good?
Yeah, sorry, my headphone just went out. But yeah, I think with Richard, 3-and-D guy, pretty good screen navigator, defensively. Won national championship in Florida. I just think you need guys like that who are winners and pretty good shooter this year as well. I think he's gonna be fine as like a fringe roster, end of rotation guy at his highest outcome.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt similarly. Seemed just like a good, just a really good, solid like 3-and-D. What did he measure again? Did anyone have his measurements up? I'm looking.
I think he was 6'4", 6'4" with like a 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. I think
that's pretty good. Yeah, he always looked long. But I'm definitely a fan of Will Richard. I mean, just a really quality, I think, two-way guard, smaller wing type. So I definitely like. Also a good warrior, I think. That just makes sense to me. We got 3 more picks left, or is it 2 more? Wait, no. So 2 more picks left. Max Shulga could be a great undrafted get. I think we kind of thank you so much, Max, for the 5. I really appreciate that. Max Shulga is someone we all love, or at least I know CT, Ahmed, Tony. I don't know if you're a big Max Shulga guy.
I'm huge on him. You know, he's another one of my guys. You know, no, I have a question. I'll flip it to you because the Cavs, they're 2 picks away now. They're number 58. Who on the board would be a good fit? I think so. They already got a guard. Ideally, we need a backup big, and I know they're not finding it with the 58th pick in the draft.
Vlad Golden, that's my guy.
I've heard his name. I don't know anything about him, but I've heard his name.
Vlad Golden. He's just like an old big who's a really solid defender, a little bit mobile, can dribble some, great finisher. I just think he's going to be a very playable. Oh, Boston just took Shulga. There you go. Wow.
They've killed it. They've really killed it. I thought Hugo was interesting. That did not feel like a Boston pick, really.
Interesting. Why do you say that? Because I feel like it kind of did feel Boston-y to me.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like lately they've opted for the more like young or not older prospects, like guys that have a little more kind of cemented their skill set and.
I immediately thought of like the Jordan Walsh.
But then I thought, Jordan Walsh was an extremely raw, toolsy guy. And I think Hugo's better than Jordan was coming out. Like, I think he's just a higher field prospect. Like, I think the shot is, I don't know. It's kind of a,
I mean, they're similar to me. Like
And I mean, quiet as it's kept, dude, like JD Davidson has crushed in the G League. Like it's unfortunate he's on that stacked roster. Like he's actually like, quiet as it's kept. That's a funny thing to say about him.
He has crushed on the G League. Absolutely.
He's crushed. I think Walsh has been solid. They're so good about winning at the margins. Like,
right. I feel like all their guys, every time I check, I'm like, oh, he's looking good in the G League. He's never going to play with the Celtics team. Maybe this year. So I said,
maybe this year.
Jordan Walsh becomes a superstar in 4 years in my 2K simulations shockingly often. He's got that star development trait. But let's talk about Shulga a little bit. Shulga just an awesome like combo guard shooter, and I think he has a lot more ancillary stuff about him than most just like off guard shooters. Like his free throw rate was great this year. He's super crafty with like step throughs and up and unders. He's a pretty nice passer as well. He's like he's an aggressive defensive playmaker, even though he's not like a crazy athlete or anything. CT or Ahmed, any thoughts on Shulga in Boston, Shulga in general? Because I think we're all relatively optimistic on Shulga.
Yeah, I thought he should have gone within the top 40 picks.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a great player.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just a really sturdy, solid shot maker who can do more than just shooting. I mean, it's very easy for me to see him finding a home in the back end of an NBA rotation. Like, probably nothing crazy in terms of upside, right? But could definitely see him being a useful rotation wing. And like I said, he was my best player on the board currently. I think I had him like just inside or just outside of my top 40. Two more guys in my draftable range: Vlad Golden, Curtis Jones, Kobe Johnson, Mark Sears, Caleb Grill, Chase Hunter. I feel like I should have ended up with Dylan Cardwell higher. I like him more than I feel like I have him ranked. That would be a good like center swing for the Cavs as well right here. Cardwell is just like a monstrous athlete who can do some stuff as like a finisher, shot blocker, offensive rebounder type. But yeah, Cavs on the clock. Big, high stakes pick right here at 58.
This is going to determine everything,
This is the future of the Cavs.
Hey man, don't count it out. You never know. I feel like this person, whoever they draft, probably won't even. They'll probably get a two-way spot or something. I don't know if they'll even be on the official roster, but they definitely need a big. Whether they get it in the draft or somewhere, who they need a big at some point because right now Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they're great, but they can't play 48 minutes every single night. You have no backup big on this roster. Tristan Thompson. It's a miracle that you're even able to play him occasionally in the regular season. And I don't know how much longer you can bank on that. He's doing like Bitcoin crypto scams now. I don't know if you guys see that. I don't know if you follow Tristan Thompson on Twitter.
I'm not aware of this. No.
He's like fully into the crypto space. Like that's all he posts about. He was posting about it like an hour before one of our playoff games. I'm like, I guess it doesn't matter because you're not playing, but like maybe lock in a little bit, Tristan. Like, come on, man. But yeah, they could really use a backup big somewhere. They took a guard with the 49th pick. I honestly would have liked to see them just take whoever was available as a big because, and you guys could tell me this better probably, but I feel like, especially from the Cavs perspective, like hitting on a backup big later in the second round feels easier, maybe. Like, I feel like that archetype, it's a little more simplified. All you'd have to do in Cleveland is basically run the rim, set hard screens, and grab rebounds. I would assume that that's maybe easier to find in the back half of the draft, but I don't know. You guys are more experienced with this.
It's definitely a good spot for a big to kind of be spoon-fed easy buckets and like play within the offense. There just aren't that many bigs available is the issue.
Yeah.
Like
I would take Golden though here.
Actually kind of fits.
Yeah, Cardwell or Golden I think would be good fits.
Yep.
Steve Cardwell playing in the NBA game would be. I'd tune in for at least the first game. He foul out in 5 minutes.
He'd foul out in 5 minutes. That would be crazy. Him and your boy Tugler.
he's unbelievable, man. This was his first year because I briefly considered writing about Dylan, and I just like went to watch some tape and some defensive tape, and I think in the Duke game he picked up 3 fouls in like 6 minutes. It was awesome.
That's the funniest thing ever.
This was his first year, so he's a 5th-year senior. This was his first year playing over half his team's minutes.
Okay, Cavs. Look, people are saying Cavs took. I don't know how to say his name. Selu Niang. No way they took.
We got another Niang. I knew this was gonna happen. I saw he was mocked to the Cavs a few times, and I was like, this is just it's karma, you know. Like we get a second Niang. Maybe this will be better. Maybe it's like the yin and yang. We had the evil Niang. Now this is the good Niang. I don't know. I kind of, I'm being rude to George. Shout out to the minivan, man. There was times of the season where he was the G-Wagon, you know, like I don't want to be too mean to George, but yeah. So they're saying he's 6'6", by the way. I know nothing about this person, so not a big.
He's one of the last guys I watched and added to my board. He's another one like Ulbrich, who I did like one game and like seemed like a guy who has some physical tools, but doesn't really do much on the basketball court. I don't know if CT or Ahmed, you have takes on him?
I think this is the most shocking guy to be drafted yet.
Really?
Yeah, I like comfortably, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly didn't look like a prospect. He certainly didn't look like much of a prospect in my evaluation.
Another guy, so he averaged, I think I looked at his numbers, it was 5.5 fouls per 40 minutes.
Oh my god! Hey man,
and does not get a lot of blocks or steals. So
one thing Kobe Altman's going to do is draft a 6'6" guard. Man, he will not draft anyone above 6'7". I swear, all we have is 6'5" guards. But I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter that much. It's the 58th pick, but it's just
he's the anti-Tim Connolly who only drafts guards who are within 6'3" and below.
It's insane, dude. It's like every year.
Niang. 1.9 steal rate, 8% block rate.
What was 8%?
0.8%. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like,
not 8% block rate. That would be really good if it was 8%. 2.5 personal fouls a game, playing 20 minutes. Yeah, that's tough. Someone said that this is a guy who will never come to the NBA, and you use his draft rights to do some trade where you aren't actually giving up anything.
That's probably what it is. It's just a draft and stash, most likely.
Probably.
Because again, I don't even think they have a spot for him. But hey, you know what? You can't win them all. You know.
Adam, tell me you're joking. Adam said, "Did Gavoni say Senegalese Ron Holland?"
That's awesome.
That's hilarious. That's so awesome.
You can really shoot from the hip at this stage of the draft.
You can say whatever at this point.
Why not? Who cares?
Yeah.
Someone said fluorescent in the chat asked about two fits. Broom to the Sixers and Proctor to the Cavs. I mean, we can re-talk about Proctor to the Cavs because Tony's here. Someone said Lamine. Yes. Oh my God. Lamine Janae is the Senegalese Ron Holland. That's so true. That is so true. You were Lamine Janae, CT or Ahmed?
No,
I was not. No,
he was. Shoot, where did he had the funniest stat, bro? Either of you want to riff on the Broom or Proctor fit while I look this up?
Yeah, I mean, I like Broom. I had him as a late first on my board. Obviously very productive at Auburn. Good passer. Pretty good. As a post player as well, but. I think there are some the athleticism concerns definitely defensively as far as some of the movement, but pretty good shot blocker for Auburn this year as well. So I think it's a good swing in the second round. But obviously tough fit if, I don't know if he could really play next to Joel like that much.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine as I like Broom as like a playable rotation big who I think his passing can be a plus skill, and Proctor could be a solid, yes, UC Northridge. So let me read you Lamine Janez. He was I think a 21-year-old 6'7" wing out of UC Northridge in 2020. This is the funniest thing ever. 35.7 usage rate after having a 37.2% usage rate as a freshman. 53.5% true shooting. Could be worse. 5.7 block rate, 2.7 steal rate, 4 personal fouls per 40.
I've never heard anything like this.
Assist to turnover ratio sub 1 both years. He shot 80-ish threes at 30% across his entire career, around 50% at the free throw line. He shot 30% on non-rim twos his last year and 72% at the rim with 39 dunks. This was the most hilarious player I've ever seen. And if you're ever bored one day, I would highly recommend his highlights.
He was like Big West Braun. He was like LeBron James in the Big West.
He was, dude. Okay, the final pick right here, the Houston Rockets. Memphis. It's Memphis, right?
Yep, Memphis. Meshack's pretty good pick at this point.
Is it Meshack?
Yeah, it's Meshack.
Fine. Yeah. I don't know if either of you have any in-depth thoughts on Meshack.
Dude, I was
fine gamble.
At how, because I was looking at it, because one of my buddies, Nick Kalinowski, he does a lot of the draft analytical stuff. Yeah, he had Meshack really high in his model. I was like, wait, I thought his stats were pretty bad. So I looked at them, and for a guy you watched him to see, he's a really great defender. I thought he was fairly athletic. He has 3 dunks in his entire career. It was just a weird stat.
That's crazy. Is he really?
It was not. It was probably 15, but over 4 years.
He's a really impressive athlete. I mean, he's a great defensive player.
Yeah, he's an awesome defender.
He wasn't. Who was the guy that was it him? Like the guy who was a viral dunker in high school?
No, that was Way Parker, I think. Maybe is that who you're thinking of?
Let me go find this guy.
Or Yves Pons. There was another guy.
No. I love Yves Pons.
I remember Pons. Yeah.
Ugh.
All right, Ben. I have to log off. I'm doing the DNVR show, but thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, CT. And we're gonna be on for another half-ish hour, just talking ball for everyone. So don't go anywhere. Obviously, my wonderful guests can do whatever they need to. But CT.
Sounds good.
Thanks
Have a
so
good
much.
one, Josh. Yep, thank you.
Follow CT. I'll drop Ahmed's Twitter on here as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to be heading out in a second here too. I got to do some writing for Fear of the Sword. But Ben, thanks for having me, man. It's always great to chat basketball with you.
Awesome, man. CT, Tony, thank you guys so much for being here.
Hell yeah, man. It was a lot of fun. Long live the Niang dynasty. We're back. Just when you guys thought the Cavs got rid of the Niang, we're right back.
The Niang dynasty. All right. See y'all.
All right. Take care. See you guys.
Ahmed, if you want to stick around, just quickly recap.
Yeah, I can stick around for 15 or so minutes.
Absolutely. Perfect. So fun draft, man. So we're getting so Chucky Hepburn, 2-way Raptors, Caleb Love, 2-way Portland. That's awesome.
I like Hepburn.
I warmed up to Chucky a little bit, kind of, as another one of the guys I late scouted, that I moved him closer from 100 to, up on my board. What's your elevator pitch on Chucky and, any way he could contribute in the NBA?
I mean, honestly, a decent amount of parallels to Jamal Shed, who they already have in-house, a pretty good point of attack defender. I just think Chucky is much more potent offensively. He actually has the potential. I can't remember his exact shooting numbers from deep, but he's just a better long-range shooter than Shed by a sizable margin. So I don't know if he will play over Shed or what that did. Shed was a top 40 pick, I think, last year.
I think so. Was he 39, 38? I feel like he was something.
Which was kind of shocking to me. But
he had some moments late in the season where he was. But I wasn't crazy high on Shed. I wasn't.
No, I wasn't. I think he kind of made a late push in the draft.
Someone said Eric Dixon to the Lakers.
Dude, I can't believe that. That's my favorite pick. Maybe that's one of my favorite picks of the entire draft.
Yeah, Hero was. I think pretty much every single one of the guests we had on throughout these couple days would just over the moon about that.
I was upset, man. The Lakers just continue to get these like stimulus packages.
The fact that the Lakers traded up from 55 to 45 to 34 to get Theo and only gave up cash is the funniest thing of all time. It's so awesome.
What's funny is they never would have done that before. I feel like before the sale.
No, it's like the new owner. It's like the new ownership is like, you know what? We're just gonna show you we have money, and we're gonna pay whatever we need to pay to go get this good player. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I just thought now that the second round's done, everything's closed out. Favorite overall hauls and least favorite overall hauls. Any quick thoughts on,
I hope he's not currently watching, but like starting with least, obviously like the Brooklyn Nets. I
don't think Lucas is here.
Okay. I'm going on his podcast tomorrow, and I don't know.
Shout out our guy Lucas Kaplan. He does a great job covering the Nets. He deserves a better team.
Phenomenal job. Deserves much better than what he received last night. But
he deserves a much better.
Yeah, but
he's got the liberty at least.
Yeah, he's got the liberty, and so with the Nets, I've actually something I want to do like a little mini dive into tomorrow. BYU is the 5th best offense in the country with Yegor Demine on the ball all the time and a 20% usage. I think that's kind of good.
They were really good.
They're a really good offense. I mean, it's like so, but that's what I think is like. All right, if you think like ideal context for him, it's just surround him with a bunch of play finishers, but they didn't do that. They only drafted guys that played a ton out of the pick and roll. I don't know. I kind of want to see it, just like a morbid curiosity. I just want to see.
I want to see the all rookie lineup. I need it. So badly.
I like don't. Those guys have never in their entire, or at least not so much, not Wolf or Powell, but their first 2 picks, Traore and Demine, they've never played off the ball.
That's it. I mean, neither has Saraf really either. Like,
Saraf, I forgot they made fun of Saraf either, and I like Saraf the most out of that group for sure. But I need to see it. I need to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I had like Saraf and Traore right about the same range, and then Demon below them, which is hilarious, just considering how it shook out. Like, I think I probably said this last night, and we've talked about this in group chats. Like, the players they got in a vacuum, like a lot of them are fine. Like, I don't hate all of them, but just the combination of them. Someone said, "Do you have a good Theo comp, Ahmed?" My kind of vision for him is like, what if MKG was good?
Yeah, I don't mind that one bit. I'm gonna be honest. For the number of times VJ Edgecombe was comped to Oladipo, I think Thoreau has a lot more similarities to someone. Like, I'm probably like irrationally on Thoreau, but I think he's.
Why so? And first of all, I agree with you that I think the Edgecombe, I don't think there are as much similarities. But what's your pitch for that? I mean, just freaky athlete. Like
yeah. Obviously, like a just ridiculous defensive event creator. I think the offense is like a lot more because of like the caliber driver he is and like the touch he has around the basket. I think the offense is a lot more fully formed. Now playing with the just so many pick and roll ball handlers, he's not gonna be able to do that as much, and he's not gonna be able to get out in transition as much. So I think it could look rough to start, but I don't know, man. He's just gonna eat off cuts, and I truly don't think the shot is irredeemable. I think it will hit corner.
I don't think so either. Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I mean, it's definitely a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
And it's like he's not a good, like a locker even.
But it's like someone like Colin Murray Boyles, who I do think is better, and I like a lot. That's his shot. Like he might never shoot.
I agree with you that Mark Sears to the Bucks, the Damian Lillard replacement.
I like Sears.
I like Sears.
I know this past season was weird, but I still like Sears.
He was so good in 2024.
Yeah.
Like he was honestly.
I just think it was.
I wonder what what the butterfly effect looks like if he declares like after 2024. Like where does he go? How does his first season look? How are we feeling compared to like
last year was so bizarre. Tyler Kolek went in the first round. Last year was so weird. He could have gone like 22 or something. I wouldn't have been.
No, he could have. Adam said Meshack worst offensive player.
Is this Adam Pike?
Yes.
I want Adam, since you're listening, I want you to look up his dunk numbers. I've just blown away. Just truly blown away.
I
I've
mean,
never I drastically misjudged a player's athleticism watching them.
I agree with you. I mean, he's definitely more of like a lateral athlete and like a
Mhm.
speed guy, to be fair. Like Mizzou legend Tamar Bates to the Nuggets. Not someone I particularly like as a prospect, but I will.
One of the only
rooting
guys
for
to
him.
come in it, I think he, outside of Khan, the only guy to shoot above 90% on his career from the line.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know
What
he
is
was
this?
an insane free throw shooter. I didn't realize it was that good. Cool, man. I will be doing plenty. I'll be doing plenty. I wonder if we have I feel like you wouldn't be a Kobe Johnson guy.
No, I kind of like him. I think he's decent.
I was gonna say I'm curious to see where he goes. Also curious to see if my goat Caleb Grill gets a summer league spot. I hope he does.
Dude,
I just want to watch.
thought he'd be drafted by one of these
I just want to watch him
politically
play in
inclined
person.
front offices. I kind of thought.
Oh, so Daniels says Kaderi to the Wizards. There you go.
Wow, he's better than like 3 of the guys they drafted.
Nolan, Kobe Sanders got drafted by the Clippers, not Kobe Johnson. Easy to confuse, but
Who did the Wizards actually? Those
They had-
probably unwarranted.
who they
claims.
take today?
No, I like Jameer Watkins and
yeah, they took it was Jameer. They took our guy Will Riley. That was cool.
yeah,
That was
Just-
cool.
so skinny.
He's-
The skinniest.
They really need to get him on just like the most unbelievable
It's
weight
crazy.
gating plan you've ever seen. But like he's really talented, man. Like he's
No,
so
this is a good
talented.
situation for him. I think they have so many. I hope that that fan base deserves a top 3 or 4 pick next year, man.
It would just be so perfect because like even
I don't know how else.
where did you end up with Trey? I know you just wrote the big piece on it. Ahmed wrote a big piece on Trey that I'm sure was excellent. I have meetings to get to. I was saying to Ricky, this is like the time of year where I have like 17 articles that my friends wrote bookmarked to read after the draft. And I'm just
No,
like,
and it was, dude. I warmed up to Trey. I came in like really low and fairly pessimistic.
yeah, me too. I think I remember us talking about him preseason. It's like,
Yeah, but I think he made a lot of serious improvements. Dude, he is such a, I don't know, the skill jump is like a ball handler and like playmaker. It's pretty jarring to see. And I think I wouldn't where I ended up like 8th.
okay, so you actually were a little lower than I was. I had him at 6.
But there's a chance, and I feel like this is our difference in approach. There is like the small chance he is just best shooter in the world. He's like 80% of Steph Curry or something ridiculous.
I agree.
So he was the guy that I'm like, hey, this is very likely to make me look stupid, I think.
I mean, I think we pretty much aligned on him mostly like throughout the whole process. I agree. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't bet on him being like a primary guy.
Nah.
I think it's like you said, just because of like the level of special of the shooter he is, it might be within the range of outcomes, like at the very, very tail ends. But yeah, I like Trey a lot. I like him in Washington, but like you said, it would be so cool for them to get like a real, because like they have so many awesome like complimentary starters, second stars. You know, if Trey can develop, I know I feel like I believe both of us are not as high on like Bub and Keyshawn as maybe like Twitter consensus.
I don't. When I heard that they were trying to move up for 2,
Vlad,
I would have
Vlad Golden to Miami. Let's go. He's gonna be goated. He's gonna be goated.
Caleb Grill?
No, Vlad Golden.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Cass was so good for them. If I known he was going to Miami, I would have put him like top 10, I think.
I love that for him. Even as someone who was high on him, honestly, slipping for him was was perfect for his future.
I was shocked that he fell that far. He would have been the guy. He was with the guy I would have thought Queen maybe.
I thought there were people in my chat. Honestly, I remember there were people in the chat. Like I think before the first round started, we were talking about like surprise guys, Cam Whitmore type slides, and a couple people called Yakuchonis, and they called it perfectly. I mean, he went. Did Whitmore go at 20 or was it 19?
Yeah.
I think it was 20,
no,
right?
Whitmore.
Or was it?
Because
it was
17 or something like that.
It was like Podziemski, Jaquez, Whitmore, I think it was JHS was 17. And then I know the next three after that were Podziemski, Whitmore, Jaime in some order, because I've seen a gazillion Laker fans being like, this is the worst thing.
I think 15.
The worst thing that's ever happened. But yeah, I think Kasparis is such a good landing spot in Miami. I just really trust them as a spot to, improve the things that he needs to improve on. And I don't think they're going to need to thrust him into a role anytime soon. They've got a really, okay. Someone said Whitmore was taken at 20, which around there. Yeah. I knew it was around that area, but I forget. Were you a Khalil Ware guy on it?
I think more, I had him ninth. So I don't know where that. I can't remember. So I feel like memory hold that entire class. I don't know where people ended up with him. I don't know where consensus ended up on him.
I had him similar to you. I had him around 9th, 10th. I mean, he was so fun as a rookie. Like he was a blast. He was an absolute blast this year. Favorite second round picks. Bureau was incredible. Like we said, Phoenix.
Awesome.
Yes. I loved what Charlotte did. I'm so surprised at how much I love what Charlotte. This is like the best Charlotte draft I've ever seen.
I think because it was Con, Liam, Caulk, Brener, and
Seion James.
Liam and Seion, I thought were pretty egregiously bad. I thought those were tough, but
I didn't like I felt that way about. I'm in on Seion, but the Liam pick wasn't my favorite. But
especially, it's all my lens. It's all colored through the lens of Thoreau was available, and I think it's just such a perfect fit for what they need. But
it would have been
that's going to be like some of the hilarious. They're going to have 100 lineups with 150 defensive rating.
Con is such a perfect fit with them offensively. I mean, that's just going to be so awesome with him and LaMelo and Miller. Kalkbrenner going to start at center. Someone said RJ Davis to the Lakers. Nice.
Diabate was good last year, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's like 6'8" though, right?
He's smaller, but will Kalkbrenner start for? I bet it'll be pretty fair split.
Probably.
Split.
I mean, I certainly feel better about Diabate at this point than I do about Nurkic.
Man, I don't want to say accidentally. I tuned into because I get the games here, and I tuned into a couple Hornets games, man, and it was bleak. It was bleaker than I feel like most teams that win 20 games are.
I'm gonna read you. Actually, so 21 players played for the Hornets last year. How many of them do you think you can guess?
I'm probably 14. Something like
Let's see.
Okay, so LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Diabate, Nurkic, Miles Bridges, Trey Mann.
Yep.
Okay, Micic was one of them that I distinctly remember. Wow, I thought I could get a lot more than this.
Bleaker than you.
Nick Smith. Did Nick Smith play?
Yep.
Amari Bailey, did he play? Maybe.
Not according to the list I'm looking at.
How could I forget the ghost Salon?
Salon
played for them.
Yep. He played. Yep.
Who else did they pick? KJ Simpson, maybe.
Yep. You're missing one obvious guy who's no longer on the team. As of yesterday.
Grant Williams, Josh Green.
Yeah, not who I was thinking of, but both correct.
It's someone more obvious than them. That's funny. I can't.
He got traded yesterday.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark Williams. Yeah.
Mark Williams.
Yeah. After I'm out, who did I miss?
So did you say you didn't say did you say a Kogi?
No, I didn't. I did not know. I forgot he was on the team.
So the ones you missed: a Kogi, Jalen Sims. Genuinely no clue who that is.
No chance.
Isaiah Wong, Pacers legend, by the way.
I was on the Pacers. Pacers legend.
He used to. We drafted him, but we cut him a long time ago. Marcus Garrett, Kansas legend.
Wow.
Taj Gibson.
I should remember Taj. That might be the hardest I've laughed at like a regular season. I like seeing the screenshot of the starting lineups and seeing Taj Gibson in there. Is like,
But he started.
Yeah,
He
it was like
started.
some of the hardest I've laughed all day. Like,
Yeah. So then the last couple ones are my favorite. We had Damian Baugh.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Legitimately no idea who that is aside from like hearing about it this year. Wendell Moore,
Oh,
Daquan Jeffrey, and Jared Rhoden.
there were a lot of Wendell Moore fans in 2022.
I remember he was a huge like draft Twitter darling when he was in high school. Like I remember
getting like in arguments with people about him versus Jalen Williams. Like I thought, I remember that. It was like when I first got on Twitter, I was like, I promise you, this guy's better than Wendell.
That's awesome. That's a great call for you. I was gonna say, I remember he was like like Gribb and Jackson Hoy and them all like loved Wendell Moore in high school. It was like him, Matt Hurt, Romeo Weems. Wendell Moore started a game for the Pistons this year. That's hilarious. I did not know that. Just Ryan Nembhard to the Mavs. Damn, no pace.
They do need a guard. They do need a guard.
That's the Luka. I really want to see the Mavs play the Cooper Flag, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, 2 centers lineup. It's not going to happen, but I would kill for it.
How are they going to acquire a point guard?
What exactly are they going to do with their? I'm fascinated to see how their like lineups shake out. Like, what exactly are they going to structure this? Like, it's just like I mean, they have good players. They got Cooper. Someone said Miles Kelly Mavs. That's solid, I guess. He's a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the game? I think it was Auburn's first game where Miles Kelly was like raining threes, and then they would cut to just like Ja'Kai Howard on the bench, just like moping.
Yeah, that was. It might have been the Houston game.
Was that? It was one of the first games of the season. I remember it.
He didn't transfer. Funny enough, I don't think he did. He transfer?
I don't know.
Actually, as I said that, I think maybe he did.
I don't keep up with I really struggle to keep up with transfers at this stage. Like it's just.
Yeah, it is a tough ask.
I'm looking it up right now. Okay, he transferred to Utah.
Oh, he's at Utah?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't even find. No, I just found the graphic.
I would never. Ooh, Derek Lively in Boston. I don't know how that would happen, Daniel, but that would be so awesome.
Fans are so greedy, man. Boston got off. It's ridiculous.
This is the kind of greed they talk about in the Bible. That's like the fucking Thunder getting Sorber, man. That's just like.
I'm glad they didn't get CMB though. I was like genuinely thinking they were gonna get a guy that like.
I felt that in my soul. The CMB Thunder thing, and the rest of the league should be extremely. I was gonna say. I was too low on J-Dub in 2022, but I had him way higher than I had Wendell Moore. I wouldn't trade. Some said, Ben, would you trade Luka for Cooper? Probably not, but maybe. No, I don't think so.
Where do you stand on the Cooper and the top 3 from 2026? Like how was a conversation I was having with some people the other day.
I still think. Probably like, see, it's kind of tough because like my default is just like number 1 because I saw him dominate college basketball like that.
Yeah,
probably
that's why it is.
But like the other 3 guys all have a very strong chance. I think I'd probably still have him first of that group, but like it's tough, and I think those guys just have a chance to like really stamp themselves in like that level, like that level. Like it really is possible.
Dude, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to whenever the first BYU Kansas game is going to go triple platinum. It's going to be amazing.
You know what's awesome? The best part, all of them went to real programs. They all went to real schools. They went.
Yeah.
None of them went to Rutgers. None of them. I can watch like competent basketball. I don't have to.
Man, the Rutgers experience this year was just like.
I don't think people gave enough like credit. I mean, maybe they did. I don't think people realized like the extent of like I don't know.
how bad it was.
Kids, but yeah, it was.
No, I think I agree with you. That people like. I think that was. Someone said, "Am I going to post them early?" I've posted 2026 boards. I've posted 2026 boards somewhere. I can link it, but I might do like an article because that's going to get clicks now. Because earlier Ricky was on. He's like, my editor is making me do a 2026 board for views, and I'm like, that's a good idea. I might get on that. Someone said the same. Would you trade Luka for the 2026 number 1 pick? Also, probably not. I think.
No.
I think I'm just too high on Luka. Like I
think. Yeah, and I feel like it's like draft guys, you're kind of conditioned to always like want the fancy new toy, but it's Luka. Yeah. Man, it's Luka at the end of the day.
It's Luka. I mean, like exactly. Like this is. I think Luka's one of like the 3-4 guys that I just couldn't justify. Even though what I think Peterson, I think these guys have ceilings of MVP level players. Like it's within their tail end of outcome. Like even for these elite prospects.
You know what's funny? I would be like fairly shocked. I think there's like a 2% chance Flag ever wins an MVP. I think probably like Peterson has a better chance.
I mean, it's so hard to bet on any. I mean, it's so hard.
Yeah. But I think if like the higher end outcomes, I'd probably say like Peterson is more likely to win an MVP.
Would you take Peterson over Flag? Like
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I'm a coward. But like I think if I were to see one of them being like a best player in the league,
if there's anyone who I think would be like end of the season better prospect than Flag, it's going to be Peterson. I think I think Flag has like a sub MVP ceiling. Like I think at its very, very tail end, Flag could be like, a guy who's getting MVP votes maybe in a weak year. He could win it, but I do agree with you that like the tail end outcome for Peterson, just because of like how absurd of an offensive centerpiece he is, and just like the defensive leap he took his last AAU season was.
Because he tried, man. He tried. He decided to try. And
he decided to try, and holy fuck, he tried. Like he's genuinely one of like Peterson. The last college, the last high school AAU season was like one of the best high school guard defenders I've ever seen. Like it's genuinely absurd. I don't like he turned it on like crazy. Cool. I think I'm kind of exhausted. I'm sure you are.
Yeah,
too.
I'm looking at the counter tick off like in the top left, man.
I'm like, Christ. I think we're gonna end the stream off right here. Huge thank you to everyone who was in the stream. We had so many people come in support. It was awesome. Huge thank you to Ahmed for popping on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge. As you can see, everyone here, including Ahmed, all of our guests throughout the couple days, go show them love. Go follow them. They're all wonderful. Ahmed, anything you'd like to plug? Any projects you have in the works? Anything you want people to know?
I'm going to be writing a good bit. Just posted a piece about Trey Johnson yesterday, I guess. And then, just follow me on Twitter.
At Flip the Screen on Twitter. I like that you have a clean Twitter handle that's easy to remember. I appreciate that. It makes my life easier compared to love CT, but I'm never going to remember CT Fazio 24. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I've got to look it up every time I link him. But anyways, thanks so much, everyone. And have a great night.
All right. Thanks for having me, Ben.